Welcome, gamers. Anybody who's not a gamer who's listening to us, thank you for being here. Hopefully, we can turn you in to a gamer because you are tuned in to one of the best shows going on a weekly basis. That's right. That's according to me and my co-host Mav, of course. But PM in the PM, episode number 27. It is May the 26th already. Happy birthday eve to me. Thank you all for showing up to this early party tonight. I appreciate you all. No, I'm just kidding. But no, thank you all for being here. Love seeing all the familiar faces already in the chat. Mav and I have no idea what we are going to talk about, but there has been news this week, so we are going to figure that out as we go, because I slid into the chair literally 2 minutes ago. But anyways, I hope you're all having a great evening, and thank you for being here. But I, of course, am the man with the captain's chair, Pong Soul, but the man who actually owns this entire channel is next to me, and his name is Fun Speculation, a.k.a. Mav, a.k.a. the Emperor. That's right. In honor of Star Wars Celebration Day, we will call him Emperor Palpatine from here on out. Look, Mav, how's your week been, brother? What's been going on?
Just keep looking for unlimited power.
Unlimited power!
Well, I mean, it's been a weird-ass week, that's for sure. I mean, it's hard not to, like, let all the stuff going on in the real world affect, you know, emotions and stuff, you know? So besides that, though, it's been a good week. Besides that, it's been a great week for us personally. My daughter had her last day of school.
Awesome.
In the books, it is officially summertime now, and that makes me super happy for numerous reasons. And yeah, like besides that, we got work's going well. We got lots of stuff going on, just keeping busy, playing games. Played some Sniper Elite last night.
Yes, sir.
I missed you by a little bit. I think you probably hit the hay a little while before I jumped on, but we were playing some multiplayer and some like survival with Steel and Jasper.
Nice.
And man, I think 3-Bit even joined us for a game. But yeah.
No way. That's a lie.
Yeah, he
that's a lie.
Literally, he was there in the party, right? And he sat there and hung out with us and installed the entire game while hanging out with us. And then he played one game and then he left to go fall asleep.
I was going to say, he stayed awake through the download, which is impressive enough.
I think
that normally does not happen.
I think he fought through it and it was really rough for him. And then he stayed just to get that one game in to say that he played it with us before he fell asleep. So I do commend him on that. I had a lot of fun with it. Game surprised me. Rebellion continues to be one of the most underrated studios out there, in my opinion. There's a couple of things I would say, like, hey, it would be nice if they added, you know what I mean? Like, but overall, I mean, game works really well. It plays well. It's smooth. The multiplayer works. The matchmaking is crazy fast, dude. Like, if you try and matchmake on there, it like instantly throws you into a game faster than I've ever seen. Switching up the custom options, going back into the menu, switching maps up, going back and loading it back in. Everything is like crazy fast in the menus on this game. I'm really impressed with it, and a lot of fun. Gameplay smooth. Rebellion. Shout out to you. Good job. First day one in Game Pass and Sniper Elite. This is gonna be the first one I really dive into a lot. You know, I had a lot of fun with the multiplayer too. I was kind of surprised that I enjoyed it. But not only that, Pong, we also, the night before that, we tried Roller Champions.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think anything of this game. You know, I got to say the character models look pretty crappy and there's a lot to be desired in some aspects of it. But when we were playing, again, I was playing with Kate, Jasper, and Steel. We were having a freaking blast the other night, dude. I mean, we were just like, it got competitive. We're tackling each other, you know. It was a lot of fun. So just a fun, small download, right? Free to play, and just it has like different nuances with competition and different things you can do. We were having a blast with that, so I might be playing some more of that as well. But how you been, man? I know you've had a hell of a week.
One hell of a week, brother.
I can't imagine a week going like much worse for you.
No,
you know,
not yeah. Considering it's my birthday week too, you just sometimes life it just really doesn't care, right? So we all know this. So especially at my age, you realize that life doesn't give two shits about what you think should be going on, because it's just going to do the opposite sometimes. And so that's been my week this week. Been pretty crazy. We're supposed to have tomorrow off for my birthday and enjoy a nice 4-day weekend. That is out the window. But we just keep smiling and we just keep moving on, and we're going to power through it and everything's going to be fine. As far as gaming, again, you, me, Steel, Jasper, my God, Micah, Psychonauts, back into Division 2 earlier this week, last weekend, and the week prior, working on that season. I bought the season pass. Look, Division 2 is back again. I'm just crossing my fingers for Heartland Mav at this point. I really want Heartland to be something, because Division 2 is just so damn good. And had they done this right, I really think it could have been a competitor to Destiny at some point. I'm not saying right now, but I'm saying had they been supporting it the way they should have been, had they been consistent with the release of DLC, had they continuously upgraded that game the way they should have been this entire time, that core gameplay, that core loop, that, the loot system, everything about it is fantastic. It just really is one of the best third-person shooters I've ever played in my entire life, and I absolutely love that game. And it's great to be back into it again. But now we got other things taken away, right? So, been back into Diablo 2 again, NBA 2K22, my usuals. I go back and do those because I can play them for short periods of time and then hop back in. Ayuden Chronicle Rising, still working on that as well. That's easy to dip in, dip out of. So those have been my mainstays this week. I did try the roller derby. What is it called again?
Roller Champions. Yeah.
Roller Champions. Yeah. Probably my early impressions, like I played through the whole tutorial, which isn't very long, but I did play through the tutorial, and then I played a match with randoms. I missed the winning shot, which sucked because we lapped 3 times. So all I had to do was shoot the damn ball.
That 1 3-point shot. Yeah.
It's all so the aiming for me was a little wonky, but I think that's just part of getting used to that while you're moving and aiming at the same time. So a little wonky, but otherwise you're right, Mav. I think the game has a lot of potential. It's probably the smallest budgeted Ubisoft title I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
Bro, like the character models, like you said, like minimal effort, like whatsoever. And the fact that they're charging you for hair. Okay, look, I'm all for monetization, right? But the fact that I have to buy hair is a problem.
Yeah.
So unless I can earn it, which I just don't realize yet, but right now all I'm seeing is I got a bald head and I can't have hair unless I want to pay. I think
you can earn it with like in-game stuff. There's like these things called loot balls. Yeah. You can open up loot balls.
I opened up one of those.
Stuff.
Yes, I got a pair of gloves. I had teal glove is what I got. Yeah. So
otherwise they want you to pay for hair like the Bosley Institute. You know what I mean? So.
Correct. Again, I'm all for monetization, free to play games. Again, I'm one of the gamers out here who says go for it. I'm not against them because if I like your game, allows me to decide how much I'm going to invest in your game. I'm cool with them. I know a lot of people hate them. I don't. It's a free experience. It is what it is. But these games, they're getting better in quality. But like I said, this one is probably the lowest budgeted one I've seen. But still, I think there's a lot of fun there. And I think there's a lot of fun to be had there.
Through regardless of the budget and the detail and all that stuff. Pretty cool stages. There's some pretty cool stages they got with the arenas.
Yeah, with the arenas and stuff. And the tackling, the controls were easy to get into. Again, not a big deal with the controls. Very simple controls. Again, you're on a roller rink. Going around in an oval, right, with chasing a ball down, passing the ball. They've got some minor like abilities that you can do, like where you can grab onto one of your teammates and you can go faster. That slingshot, all that stuff. That's cool, man. I start getting that down. I enjoyed that. And then Steel and I did hop into Sniper Elite 5 last night before you guys had late fun pop last night. So but Steel and I did campaign mode last night, and I'm just glad. I'm so happy for Rebellion. Mav, a few months ago now, I was in our DM saying, you know what? I want Rebellion as one of the next acquisitions for Xbox when they get done with this Activision Blizzard deal. Yeah. I think they'd be a perfect fit.
Yeah, they make the kind of games that Xbox loves, right?
Give that team a little bit bigger budget. I mean, again, it's great Let me just say this, because I am a Rebellion fan, because I have been a Sniper Elite fan for quite a long time. I love it, especially since we haven't gotten a Splinter Cell. You can play Sniper Elite. Yes, it's World War II. Yes, it's Nazis. You don't have all the gadgets, but you can play Sniper Elite 2 very similar to a Splinter Cell. You can go full stealth if you want to. And they do the stealth very well. And the AI in all of the games has gotten more and more complex and better and more challenging. And with the way that they allow you to adjust things, again, people don't remember. Sniper Elite's been around for 16 years now. 16 years, right? Same story, same World War II, same main character the entire time. Like, they have not changed that, and it continues to do well. But I think this one, Mav, now that it's gotten the exposure, and again, part of it's that Game Pass exposure, I think more people are catching on. I read the reviews. Yeah, there were some of those reviews still, the 6s or whatever else, but I saw a lot more 8s this time around than I normally do for a Sniper Elite. They've added a more robust skill system, which is absolutely awesome. Traversal and overall movement is much smoother than the older games. You got the same crispy graphics. I always talk about that. You go pop on Sniper Elite 4, you could see that there's you could almost say that's current gen kind of quality as far as how clear the graphics are. There's just certain teams that do that. Like, I'm not saying they're the best graphics ever, but they're so clean and crisp. It's just nice to look at. And they put in detail into the world, kind of a lot like Division. There's so much detail in the world. Now, not all of it's interactive, of course, by any stretch of imagination. But as you walk through different places, you really do get a totally different feel. But Steel and I had a fantastic time co-oping. You lose, unless both of you are very experienced at Sniper Elite, which Steel is not. Steel's not a Sniper Elite guy. He's never jumped into them. So this is kind of like his first time really playing them. You're going to lose the stealth tactics a lot because it's harder with two people to plan things out. But we had some moments where it was awesome. And then we had some other moments where we just went hot. We just went Ramboing in, maving through our way through the level, right? We did do that plenty of times. Yeah, maving our way. And it's fun. And we had, I don't know, Mav, if you played any campaign where you can get invaded yet.
Not yet,
bro,
no, but I heard about it.
Getting invaded is tense, brother. It is intense. Steel and I had two people leave. They left after they invaded our team. We had two people kill us. Or no, one guy killed us. One guy got us both. And then we had another guy where I actually killed him as he was coming to get us. So, but it's tense, man, because you don't know where they are, and they're on the Nazi side. So therefore they just blend in with everybody else and they kind of get free reign, right? So nobody pays attention to them as they're walking. So, and if you try to camp somewhere, you get penalized. First, show you. Yeah. So if you camp too long in one spot, this happened to me in Steel last night. If you camp too long, first of all, you get, your location is pointed out to the enemy. Your last location known, they can see that. If you continue to stay in that spot, then you are actually marked. So they know if you move, so they can see wherever you are on the map. Then if you continue to stay, they will eventually, you'll get death. You'll die. They'll have a countdown and you die if you stay camping too long. So it forces you to move, which is cool. It's awesome because Steel and I had it all planned out. We were camped up in one of these chateau, and we had one room with one entrance, and we were totally ready. And eventually Steel started moving around, whatever else, and I stayed in that room, and I found out how the progression was because it didn't count me as moving far enough, even if I went down the hallway and came back. So great game. Love Rebellion. Love to see this team getting better at every game that they come out with. And I think this is a Sniper Elite that finally will get the recognition for them that is due. But you give this team an umbrella like Xbox, and you give them some time, and you give them a budget, I think that they could do a third-person, over-the-shoulder, narrative-driven game right in the mold that Microsoft and Xbox are looking for. I think they would do a fantastic job. Acting, writing, all good. Loving Sniper Elite 5. So anybody go check that out. Again, got Game Pass, download it. Doesn't cost you.
Speaking of Game Pass with that, I have to say, because like, admittedly, I was never like a Sniper Elite a player, and as even before like Zombie Army and those games, and I just like a lot of people, I just kind of like bypassed them. Although it's just like saw the reviews, one of those AA things out there. I maybe got it on like if got it for free on Xbox Live Gold or something at some point, or whatever. Got it for really cheap and just kind of like checked it out for a few minutes. Oh, this is pretty cool. I put it away, not really thinking of it. But then Game Pass, when Zombie Army was on there, right, and we started playing the survival mode on there, the horde mode, whatever it's called, and I was like, wow, this is actually like really damn good. And I can't believe I've been missing this series and not really trying this. I mean, it's not like the most like mind-blowing thing out there, but it's just really solid. It works well. The gameplay mechanics are really good. It's really fun. And I was like, how have I been missing this all this time? Because this game is like up my alley, and why have I not paid a lot of attention to it, right? And it's because of Game Pass that I gave it a try and really invested that time into it, because guess what? It cost me nothing, and I got to partake in the day one hype, right? I got to partake in the excitement of it. And with this, I was like, okay, well, now that team is more on my radar, because now I know what they're capable of. And I'm like, wow, they got a lot of good stuff going on. And I am there day one again. And now Rebellion's, for me, like, I think they could be one of the most underrated studios out there. Like, I mean, completely, I'll stand behind that, because I know I ignored them. And I feel like a lot of other people are too. So this is kind of like the Game Pass effect. I think that this game's going to get a bigger audience because of this. And I encourage everybody to give it a try. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But at least you get to partake in the excitement and playing in a game day one that also functions well day one as well. The one caveat I would like to say is I was disappointed when I found out we can't pre-game lobby it up for matchmaking.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, so that was like an interesting thing. That's the one thing it was like missing, because we were trying to figure out, can we like group up and then matchmake together, and there was no system for that. So instead we just like joined custom browsers, right?
Okay, so kind of like the Battlefield way of doing things, kind of.
If you go click on any kind of like multiplayer game mode, it just immediately puts you in a game.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's like instantaneous. It's pretty damn crazy how fast the matchmaking is on there. You click on a game mode, within like 2 seconds, you're in a lobby.
Yep.
Right? And it's like, wow, that was fast. So, but you can get around that doing custom game browsers, and you can also create your own custom game and leave it open to the public. And also the survival mode, that thing can get intense. We were only playing it on medium.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine, playing that on like hard and harder difficulties. It's going to be insane, especially with like all the level up perks and abilities you can get and stuff.
Yep.
So
that's the other exciting part to me here, Mav, about this too, is that the multiplayer has never taken off for Sniper Elite ever. Okay, never ever. Like dead on arrival, DOA baby. Sniper Elite has never been known for, even though they've included it. Like even the campaign co-op was never talked about, really. Yeah. Right. So I think that really to me is the next exciting kind of evolution of this, if they can get that down. Like, I haven't played it yet, so I don't know. I know Steel was jumping in after I got, and you just said you guys played it. But that's the exciting part. If they can get that down, or they can find one mode, like you said, that, like the survival mode, that really works and that people kind of latch onto. Again, we know that's what keeps games relevant nowadays, especially in Game Pass. So hopefully that takes over.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with
that part of it.
We absolutely had a blast with the multiplayer last night. We had some competitive matches too. I mean, it was getting down to the wire of like, it's 50 kill wins, it's like 45 to 50, 47, is pretty close. And the satisfying effect of the last kill with the slow-mo of you following the man.
I was just going to say the slow-mo never gets old. You think it does get old, no matter how many Sniper Elites I've played, I'm still fascinated by watching where I hit somebody. Yeah. I absolutely love it. Like it, I mean, I'm sure there's people out there who think it does get stale, but I'm just saying overall, they just do such a fantastic job with it that it really doesn't get old. It's exciting every time you get that I turn it all the way up, so I get them as frequent as possible, right? Because I love them so much. I think they're absolutely amazing to watch. And if anybody out there is looking for a review or a breakdown of this game outside of me and Mav or whatever the case, and you're kind of wondering if it's something for you, go watch ACG's review of this game. ACG, of course, does some of the best reviews in the business, in my opinion. The guy's been doing it for a long time. He knows exactly what he's doing. So go check out ACG's channel. Go check out this review for Sniper Elite 5. He does a fantastic job of telling you exactly what the game's about and how it plays and why he thinks it's a quality title for sure. But yeah, excited for Rebellion. Congratulations, Rebellion, on the launch. Hopefully this means big things for you, and maybe hopefully one day you join the Xbox family. I know I'd be happy if that's the case. I think it'd be a great pickup. So wow, that was a nice little breakdown of Sniper Elite 5. Yeah, I can't wait to jump in with you, brother, and check that out too. Yeah, for sure. Man, what are we going to talk about, brother? We got a bunch of stuff. We got more PlayStation stuff. Look, it's that time of the year, folks. Xbox is turtled right now. Xbox has completely turtled up after the delay. They are saving what seemingly looks like they're saving everything for June 12th. And hopefully it's going to be a lot of Christmas presents for us on that Sunday. But right now, all's quiet on the Western Front. That's for dang sure when it comes to Xbox. So PlayStation has been kind of dominating news. But you know what? Let's start with a little speculation. Mav, I want to get your thoughts because you and I have not talked about this at all. There's a rumor. And again, this is a rumor. Okay. This is just this is secondhand reporting from a source, blah, 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 blah. But
so truck assault territory here?
Huh?
Truck assault?
Yeah, but we just got to take everything. But this is old news, but it's current, and it's older news, but it's current and it's relevant because we heard about the Marvel stuff with Xbox, right?
Yeah.
That they passed up. Okay. And again, you can have your thoughts on that. Again, for me personally, I think that at the time that was available, I would have had no confidence in Microsoft turning around and doing anything good with Marvel. Okay. I just wouldn't have, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think any of their studios can handle it. I think that would have been a short run deal. I think they probably would have tried it out. They probably would have had a middling game at that point. We weren't going to get Spider-Man from Insomniac at that point. Okay. It just wasn't going to happen. So for me, I understand why people say, that's a huge miss. Yeah, sure, if you consider now, but back then Marvel wasn't what it is now either. It was just starting, and look what the games had come out from Marvel. It wasn't good, right? Activision had tried and passed. So for me, that's no big deal. But let's talk about this one, Mav. The other one that kind of came out was Knights of the Old Republic, brother.
Right.
Knights of the Old Republic. This was an exclusive, console exclusive game for Xbox, the original OG Xbox back in the day. Anybody who's played Knights of the Old Republic or Knights of the Old Republic 2, or I should say 90% of the people who've played those games consider them some of the best RPGs and probably the best Star Wars games ever made. Okay. That's pretty much a consensus for me. Absolutely 100%. That was a staple for Xbox. Everybody knows that. Phil knows this. Everybody in this community, and Phil's in this community, he's around listening. He has better idea of the pulse of the community than any other CEO in the gaming industry. I guarantee that, and I can say that even though I don't know that for a fact. I can say that with no doubt in my mind. Okay, the man knows what happens in this community. He understands the sentiment amongst gamers for certain games. Knights of the Old Republic is well known as one of the most beloved games out there. Okay, came out that they passed on the remake by Aspire. Again, it's rumor. It's from a source.
Do we know what year this was? By
well,
chance?
this would have been. Spire has been working on it for 2 years, I think now. I think they've had it for 2 years.
So you're talking about 2019,
2020. Yeah. When they would have approached Sony and Microsoft, but they approached, supposedly, according to the rumor, they approached Xbox first. Because again, the history is with Xbox. Do you, number one, Mav, believe that this actually happened. And number two, let's assume that it's true. What are your thoughts on them passing on one of the most beloved franchises in the history, the remake, coming back to Xbox and seemingly allowing Sony to jump in and snatch it for a console timed exclusive deal? What do you think, brother?
Yeah, first off, I don't know if this is true. I know that I think who was it that did the video on this? Mr. Matty Plays, I think.
Mr. Matty Plays, who is usually pretty reliable. He doesn't run with everything. So
yes. I feel like he's gotten stuff that's accurate in the past regarding Xbox stuff as well. So I'm not going to try and like knock on his credibility or anything like that, but I'm just going to say I don't ever look at anything that comes from a different source and be like, that's a fact, right? I just don't know. And I don't think any of us really do. So it's hard to put like a lot of energy into criticism unless I know from like, if it was like Keeley or, or like one of these big time journalists or something like that really came out with this, and it would be a little bit different. However, I do think there's probably some truth to this. I just can't say 100%. I just have to look at it as if it was true. Okay. So if this is true, I would be disappointed that Xbox would let that go, knowing the history of the franchise with its brand right now. The Marvel thing, again, is a completely different story because you're talking about, I think that was like 2014 or something like that. Xbox was definitely not in a good place at the time. The Marvel games, like you said, were not the same as we know them today either. There was no Spider-Man yet. And honestly, I feel like maybe it was the best thing for that game going to Insomniac, right? So I don't really have any issues with that either. And with other rumors going on now, maybe Microsoft may be open now to other IPs and licensing deals with other games, because there's a lot of things swirling about possible games with some of their either first party or some of the Bethesda ZeniMax studios that are now part of Xbox, maybe possibly working on other franchises, which we know one of them for a fact is Indiana Jones, that came along for the ride with that acquisition. So this is not necessarily going to be an ongoing problem for them, but I do question what led that. If this was true, what led into that decision? Was it a lack of faith in the studio? Was it a lack of faith in the IP? Was it they have so much other things they're trying to do that they didn't feel like they could put the energy into something else like that? But then when I look at it and I think of the position that Xbox has been in the last couple years, right, with a little bit of inconsistency with the first party releases and things, it's decisions like that, if this is true, that have led to this, right? It's not just about the first party pipeline not being ready yet. It's about, hey, we're no longer doing timed exclusives. We're not doing this anymore. We're not going to invest in other people's licenses and IPs anymore. We're only going to focus on ours, which at the time back in 2014 through 16, 17, I feel like maybe was the right decision with where they were. But if this happened in 2019, when they were in this like, hey, you got the acquisition phase, full truckload, hey, go, then that would surprise me. Maybe they thought they were going to have a lot more ready earlier, and it wasn't going to be an issue. Like, they were like, okay, there's going to be so many damn games we're investing in. We got all this stuff that people aren't even going to care. But we're not in that situation right now, right? And this game was announced as a Xbox fans see it. It's a PlayStation exclusive. Like as a Xbox historical franchise, that would be like Splinter Cell for me, like avoiding Xbox, right? Like, right. And that would like hurt my soul. Like, I've said this before, like one of my gaming guilty things for me, everybody has a couple, right? Is that I never got into KOTOR personally, right?
Right.
Just for me, for some reason, the game never.
Which is the craziest thing I've ever heard of.
I know. But it is a complete, like, it's everything checks that box. Like, I should absolutely be obsessed with and love that game. BioWare, Star Wars, RPG. I mean, every box, everything is checked on there.
Strategy.
Yes,
strategy-based combat
is checked on it. But when I played it, it didn't click. I tried starting it several times. It didn't ever get into it. Like, maybe it was just the time in my life where I was at the time when the game came out. I was like really into sports games and like. And I was playing some other stuff at the time, a lot of PC gaming. I think I was playing a lot of Neverwinter Nights still on PC back then as well. Like, for some reason, just that game at the time just didn't click with me. And it's always been one of those franchises, like, I just can't admit this. Like,
Don't You Start. Oh, my God.
I like turn-based slander. I love turn-based games. I hated when JRPGs started going all actiony. Like, I was like, come on, bring back the turn-based JRPGs. Something about it, I don't know, man. It just didn't like click for me right away. Now, that's being said, if this was like modernized and I was to go in to play it now, it'd probably be a slam dunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it doesn't. Well, I've tried going back and playing it, and it kind of just feels too dated now to go back and enjoy it for the first time.
It's rough. The mechanics are really rough.
So I am excited about this game. I am glad it's being made. I'm gonna play the hell of it at a PlayStation because I feel like it's my second chance. Yeah. You know, I feel like it's my second chance to really get into this. And am I disappointed it's not on Xbox? Like, yeah, I don't know what, like, sometimes certain decisions just leave me like baffled, you know? Mm-hmm. And I don't understand the decision making behind it, or I don't understand this and that. And I just I really don't understand what would keep them from seeing that and being like, that makes a lot of damn sense. We're going to go for it. So then I have to know what's behind the scenes. Is there something else that I don't know about? And I question that because everything else makes too much damn sense. Other than the fact that, again, they keep saying they're not going to make, you know, the license deals with third-party games and all this stuff. But then you see Microsoft Game Publishing do Contraband, you know, and you see them do the Certain Affinity potential game. You see them potentially doing the IO Interactive game and all of these things. And it's like, well, that could have been the same thing. Why not do that, you know? It's about IPs, I think. It's about owning the IP for them at the time. Maybe they've had a change of heart since bringing in Bethesda ZeniMax, right? Maybe that changed them because they already brought along Indiana Jones for the ride. But if that was the pure decision-making behind it, I think it's a mistake. And I'm hoping that in the future they don't continue to make that mistake, because we've seen what these licensed games now are capable of, and it's not the same thing that they used to be, right? Now, the only other question I could say is potential pass on this. It wasn't BioWare. It was Aspire, right?
Aspire.
And if you look at their history, I mean, I don't really know if they've done anything of this magnitude, right? So I'm not 100% familiar with the studio, everything that they've made, but that would be one question I would have, is maybe a possibility on why they passed on it. But I don't know, Pong. How do you feel, bro? I mean, were you like spurned? You feel like a spurned child? Like, hey, this sucks.
I do.
Know? Yeah, I understand.
I do, man. I really do. And again, I freely admit, whenever I talk about these types of topics, right, whether it's Starfield, whatever the case, I have a natural bias when it comes to this opinion, right? I'm not neutral on this subject because KOTOR is so beloved by me. Actually, I'm a bigger KOTOR 2 fan than I am a 1 fan, and I know that debate rages on to this day. More people seem to think that KOTOR 1 was better, but I personally like number 2 better. But at the end of the day, this is a huge, if this is real, and again, we'll never know. Everybody in the chat who's asking really great questions, right? There's some really great questions. When's the Disney refused to put it on Game Pass? When's if Microsoft wanted for Game Pass? They said no. Microsoft walked away from the deal.
Yeah.
Look, all that stuff could have happened. ATL brought up a great point. You never not get or go after something, make a decision that everybody else told you was a bad decision, and it turns out to be a good one at the end? Absolutely, of course, we all have, and we don't know the inner workings. We don't know how the deals were structured. We don't even know if this is real, but we don't know what the conversations were like, and that could have caused this to happen. For me personally, again, like I say, putting myself into Phil's shoes, though, there's just certain things that I would never let happen under any circumstances. If I, in any way, shape, or form, could control something like a KOTOR coming to my console or going over to Sony as a timed exclusive, I would never allow that to happen. I would overpay. Okay. And people, you could probably look back at that decision and say that maybe, Aspire could come out, they could ruin KOTOR. It could be terrible. It could be a terrible remake, right? We don't know. It's a risk. It's a gamble. Every game is a gamble. And I get that. But there's certain things that I put all my chips in the table for, and KOTOR is one of them. It's a Star Wars IP. That in itself gives it a greater than 50-50 chance to be a slam dunk, okay? Mm-hmm. Not only is it a Star Wars IP, it's already a known IP that Aspire is simply bringing up to date, hopefully not changing the story too much. Now, again, that's up for debate as well. There's been questions about some people they've brought in for the writing team, etc. How much is going to be changed because the story is an older story and some of it doesn't fit with modern day stuff sometimes and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So, but again, right there, if they don't touch anything that they don't need to, if they just update the mechanics and they just bring all the visuals up to date and they faithfully redo KOTOR as it stands, you've got what I would consider a gigantic hit on your hands, okay? Instantaneously, right? And again, it's still a gamble, but there's certain IP, certain titles that I just would never let go if I had any opportunity to bring it to my ecosystem, even if it's not a timed exclusive. And we know Phil doesn't want to do timed exclusives. I totally get him on that, right? That's fine. But I would never turn down KOTOR. Again, he knows, like I said, I give him all the credit in the world. I think he knows the pulse of the community. He knows how big KOTOR is. That's why this is a head scratcher for me. If this happened, again, we don't know, but it's always fun to speculate. But if it comes out, if the story fleshes out, somebody else corroborates on this, and actually we get some more details on exactly what happened, like Mr. Matty plays, because him and I have a very similar taste in games. Him and I do like and love certain games just the same way. I that pisses me off. Like I'm not even gonna kind of sugarcoat it. That pisses me off if you let that happen underneath your watch, because I think, again, it's a huge missed opportunity for your ecosystem. It's a huge missed opportunity for all the Xbox fans who supported that game on your OG console and have been growing up demanding year after year that we get another KOTOR. Like, that's like one of the most wanted games out there, is another KOTOR. And for all the people like yourself, Mav, who never got a chance to play it, to be able to jump back into it. So again, I'm no way neutral here. This is a personal thing for me. It's a love of mine that I wish was coming to Xbox. And I just hope that Sony didn't do that 2-year exclusivity. That's going to be a tough one. Maybe I'll have a PS5 by then and it won't matter. I will play it on PS5. I won't wait for it to come to Xbox. If I do have a PS5 by then, I won't wait. I will just play it on Sony's. But it is too bad.
I do question if this is this coming to PC as well, I think.
Yeah, it's coming to PC too.
That for PC owners, that's always an option as well.
Yeah, and KOTOR was huge on PC. I mean, that's a given. It was gigantic. That was back in the day. BioWare was putting on PC. Everything was built for PC.
Yeah, Neverwinter Nights, the game I just mentioned. Like that's like one of my first loves into Western RPGs right there.
Yep, exactly. So I just want to start with a light topic, man, because it's just interesting to talk about, and I hadn't heard your opinion. I knew you weren't a KOTOR fan, but I just wanted to know even though you're not a fan, you know how big it is.
It's
and what
huge.
It
every time there's a conversation brought up of best games of all time, KOTOR's on that list.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why I'm like ashamed almost that like I just never got into it. Right? It's like it's one of those things like, how did I not get into that? But like I understand completely the importance of that game and that franchise and just Star Wars in general. Just passing up on a Star Wars game, even in and of itself, would be a big deal, right? Like even if it wasn't KOTOR. So I question why this happened. If it's true, I do question 100% if it's true, because it comes from a source, right? And whoever knows 100%, but it would fall in line with other things that we've heard. That I mean, I'm not saying that like, oh, don't believe this. I'm just saying like I don't 100% know. So it's it would be very disappointing if that's the case. But at the same time, I'm gonna play the game regardless. And I encourage everybody to, if you have the ability to play either on PC or PlayStation, and maybe it eventually will come to Xbox as well down the line. Who knows? I do hate the fact that we are left in the dark on these exclusivity deals, and we don't have any information like what is signed, like what is coming in the future. And I understand that's part of it. That's part of the business aspect of it, because you want to lock that up and have it appear as like a complete exclusive. But maybe this will always be exclusive. Who knows? You know?
Yeah, who knows? At the end of the day, I mean, Sony would be smart to do it if they could. Yeah. If they could lock it down for life, yeah, I'd do it. Again, if I was in Sony, if I was in Jim Ryan's boots, hell yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Herman Holtz knows how big KOTOR is. I can guarantee you.
There's also a fact, like a lot of these games that were exclusive for Xbox back then, at the time, Xbox, that original Xbox was way more capable of a machine and more close to PCs than any of the other consoles out there, right? So there's some of these games that came out on original Xbox that were exclusive to Xbox that I feel like were exclusive mainly because of the capability of the system and making it easy to port from a PC to the console as well. I don't know 100% how the marketing worked and stuff like that, but as you said, like BioWare before then had been primarily known as a PC company, and coming in there, maybe it was just easier to bring KOTOR originally to the Xbox, right? But like if they did that with Splinter Cell, if like Splinter Cell was announced as like a PlayStation exclusive, that would hurt my heart a little bit, just because it's not because I'm like, oh, angry PlayStation gets an Xbox don't, because for me it was established as an Xbox brand, and it kind of like always kind of went in line with my love of the ecosystem. And if they were to take that away, that would be insane. So this is a little different story than that, because it's from a random developer seemingly that somehow got the license and deal to make that game. But it's gonna be interesting, man.
Aspire, you know, to be fair, Aspire's been around for a long time, right? And Aspire
not a nonchalant, but I'm just saying, like, it's kind of came out of the left field when Aspire is like making this game.
And their parent company is Saber, who's underneath Embracer, as we all know, and we know what moves Embracer has been making. But you know, they've done, like, you know, they've worked on Stubbs Zombie back on the day. They did the iOS port of Knights of the Old Republic. So they've worked on this game directly. They did what else did they do? Oh, they did Jade Empire as well for Android. They did Knights of the Old Republic 2. They've worked on tons of ports. So
there are a lot of Star Wars games. I see Jedi Knight, Republic Commando, The Force Awakens.
Yes.
They've worked on a lot of these.
Yeah. So they do have the experience with the IP, which is good at the end of the day. So what I will say, man, and then we can wrap up this topic and move on. Excuse me. I'm going to do some shouts in chat because we got amazing people in the chat tonight. But what I will say, to your point, Mav, if this was turned down because they have something else, if it comes out, and I've thrown this out to the universe, I want this to happen. We need a new Star Wars MMO. Period, point blank. We haven't had a real Star Wars MMO in a long time. I know the older ones are still around. You know, Knights of the Old Republic is actually still technically being played. It's got concurrent players of like 8,000, which is about 800 times more than Battlefield 2042, which was just launched. The point being is that they're still around, but we could use a new MMO. And if ZeniMax Online's new game, secret game that they've been working on that we've heard about, man, if it's more than just a Mandalorian game, if it is a full-fledged Star Wars type MMO, I will be fine with this. That's fine.
Yeah.
If I can go in, if I can hop into a game, and I know not everybody likes MMOs. Let's say it's not even MMO. Let's just say it's got multiplayer capabilities, but it's still an RPG just built out. But if it's ZeniMax Online, I would assume it's an MMO. I don't care. If you give me the opportunity, you give me a brand new Star Wars game where I can choose light side, dark side. I can be a Han Solo, or I can be Darth Vader, right? Or, you know, I could be Luke Skywalker, whatever the case may be. I can be Jedi, you know, I can be a bounty hunter. I can be whatever I want in this universe. I will forgive all of this. That's fine. Yeah. If that's the reason why, because they were already working on a big Star Wars title and Phil knew that, and he's just basically thought it wasn't worth it right now because they're going to have something bigger in the Star Wars universe to announce, cool, then fine. All is forgiven. I'm good with it. Okay, so I will put that out in there in the universe again because I want this to happen so bad. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, there was a little bit of speculation about. I don't know, like, because I think the ZeniMax one, when all those rumors came out, I think that's the half of the rumor that people came out and was like, okay, that one is the bullshit side of it, but the other stuff that was in those rumors there was maybe some truth to, which the aspect of the rumor of Bethesda ZeniMax, maybe Roundhouse Studio potentially working on a licensed game, right? I think that's where there's a lot of weight, but I think the ZeniMax Online one came out that one is probably not Star Wars, but who knows? 100%. You know, it could be a Starfield MMO, like people are thinking. But the other thing is, there was a lot of rumors before about Amy Hennig, right? And
Correct.
About a different IP, and I think that there's potential that Xbox could have partnered with somebody in like that as well to make a game. Not saying it's Star Wars specifically, but
we know she's working on one, right? So we know she's working on
more than one. One of their games was already kind of revealed that it was a Star Wars game, which that's not the Xbox one as far as we know.
And they're working on a Marvel as well.
And they're working on something Marvel. That's what the leaks came through, and then that there was potential from somebody that had gotten the Wolverine game right.
Yeah.
So the guy that got the Wolverine game right, who knew that was going to happen, right? So that was out of left field when that got announced. So the same person had said, believe that they were working on a Daredevil game.
Because those rumors were, I think he posted them in 2018, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he's been right so far. He knew about Avengers, he knew about Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he said there's a Daredevil game. So, yeah. I love that rumor, by
and
the
then
way.
potentially Xbox working with a studio like this as well. That kind of matches up, so it's a potential that there are licensed games in the works now, and maybe we're moving past that phase, right? If the Roundhouse rumor's true, we know Indiana Jones is happening, and then this other stuff. So, but yeah, I'm ready for that. I would like to get a mix of that. I don't want it to be all Xbox does, because obviously they got a lot of other stuff. They're heavily invested in their own IP. Now they can afford to do this stuff now, I think, and it'd be great.
They got the talent.
Yeah,
they're in the position now to do it.
And crossing my fingers, if this KOTOR remake works out, let's get a Jade Empire. Come on, why not? Let's do it.
Or KOTOR 2 right behind it.
Yeah,
get KOTOR 2 working and get both of them out. Because again, we're not. For anybody who doesn't know, when Disney bought Star Wars, they wiped out all the old canon. So Knights of the Old Republic technically is not canon anymore. One of the worst mistakes Disney ever made when they purchased Star Wars. I could point out all the other ones. You don't want my Star Wars rants, okay? Mav has been a part of my Star Wars rants, okay? But the point being is they wiped it out. So we're not going to probably ever see a Knights of the Old Republic 3 because that technically does not exist in the new Star Wars universe. So if we can get 1 and 2 remade and they do them well, I'll be a happy camper. That's fine. It'll be a new experience. It'll be going back to it again. It'll be even a bigger new experience if they do it really right than even the Mass Effect Legendary Edition was. And we know how great that was. And those games didn't even need to be redone that much. So if they can bring Knights of the Old Republic up to a quality level of even, let's say, 2-3 years ago, I'm set. It'll be a brand new experience for me. It'll be awesome. So except for if they go all action. Got to give me the strategy ability. Turn it on or turn it off. For the people who want to play that action RPG style, go ahead and let them turn it off. For those of us that like the old style, please give us the option to continue to do the combat the old way. Please. That's all I'm saying. But I'll be happy either way. All right, man. We got so many freaking amazing people in here. We got Go Poe in the house. We got Def Leppard here. Stuff Sean, always great to see you. And yes, Stuff Sean, you are correct. Dark side for life, baby. He said Darth is always the way to go. Crush Goody. Or no, Jesse B did. Darth is always the way to go. Crush Goody two shoes. And Stuff Sean had said earlier, if you can be Darth or Han, always be Darth. I love both of you. Thank you both for being here. It's Timmy is here. Def Leppard, how you doing? Of course, the breathtaking gamer spotlight. otherwise known as Spooky. What is going on, brother? Great to see you in the house. Thank you for being here, sir. The General C is in here. Davino, great to see you. Thank you for joining us this evening. Alvin is in here, and he's never played a Grand Theft Auto game and never will. Sir, you are a brave. That is a brave admission as a gamer. Round of applause for you, sir. Absolutely. Hey, you know what you like. Don't go outside of if you know what you like and what you don't like. I always say that. Me and Steel talk about it all the time. Know who you are as a gamer every day. Moneybag 97. Good to see you. Throw some of those money bags my way, please. I could use it. Triumphant Design. Great to see you. Who else we got in here? We got Mav's in here, as always.
Hi.
Good to see you, Mav. Hi. Eternal Shaddai, brother. Great to see you in here. We've got Steel Rain, brother from another, showing up. I already shouted him out because he was slandering turn-based systems in there. By the way, I'm never going to forgive you for that. ATL, great to see you. Razor NZ is in here as well, enjoying the show. We've got Mike Series X Sperling down in PM. Good to see you, Mike. We got Vic the Click always showing up, probably doing shots as we speak. Good to see you, sir. Jigga J is here. Good to see you, brother. Thank you for dropping on in. Tony Grasso is in the house. Great, always great to see you. And I think this is used to be Farquaad, and my left nut is itchy or whatever it was, but now he's got Magonads touched the floor. Good to see you, man. Man, you're coming up with these names. I'm telling you, you're killing us. Seeky, great to see you in here as well. Lore Master Jasper. Actually, it's just Lord Jasper. I'm not the master yet. I'm still learning. Anyways, good to see you, brother, in here. UK Lad, always showing up and showing us the love. Thank you. Joe Dunmore is in here. Nobody can do it like the mag, but I got to try every time because I see your name because it's like programmed now. RDM, great to see you in here with us as well. Caitlin, beautiful Caitlin. Thank you again for all the graphics. Always a special shout out to you for everything you do behind the scenes to make all of the fun speculation shows go. Great to see you, my dear. We've got General Spartan 27 always showing his face and showing the love. Andrew Cullinane, great to see you. Power Man 4K, brother. Awesome for you dropping in here early as well. I think I got pretty much everybody that's showed up in the chat at this point. We try to do it. If I missed you, please let us know in the chat. Big Mad Mo, I see you dropping in here, brother. I know you're always looking around the background, so good to see you. And I think that's everybody. So, Matt, let's move on. We had some good icebreakers here. So, let's get down and dirty, brother. You and I and a couple others in the DMs.
Oh, boy, I know where this is going.
Oh, you do know where this is going. We had a little back and forth in the DMs this week. What was that, yesterday? 2 days ago?
I think it was yesterday, yeah.
Was it yesterday? Yeah. So we had a little back and forth in here because the rumor mill has started. Now, VentureBeat, for anybody who doesn't know, has kind of poo-pooed this and said it's nothing. But let's just run with it because it's fun to talk about, because it is something that's a realistic thing that could happen this generation, as we all know. For anybody who doesn't know, TCL was having a kind of a strategy meeting. Mm-hmm. And they were kind of, it was a marketing meeting. I think it was a strategy marketing meeting. And they were talking about the future kind of roadmap of where their TVs were going and why it was important, where the tech was headed and all that kind of stuff. You know, your typical marketing kind of stuff. Yeah. But they had an interesting slide that popped up that kind of showed the last 2 gens of hardware for video games, for console. And so, of course, they had Xbox and they had PlayStation up there. But that slide included what some people thought may have been photoshopped at one point, but now we know it was real. They had a mid-gen refresh for the series consoles and for the PlayStation 5 listed to be happening in 2023, 2024. Okay. Now, of course, they had up on the slide that these new consoles were going to do 4K 60 with ray tracing and 120 frames per second at 1440 and 8K was going to be finally a reality for some video games. They had all that up there, right? But this started an interesting conversation. And Mav and I, while we're not completely on different sides, because in theory, I'm okay with this. But in practice, I'm not okay with it as it stands right now if the console makers were to do this. Whereas Mav is totally cool pretty much with everything. So we do differ on this. So let's jump into this, Mav, because again, we were in DMs. Chat's always hard. Everybody out here knows now in this day and age, text messaging, things get lost in translation, right? Words, and you only can do so much while you're typing. I was at work, obviously, and you can only you can only do so much. So
and we can have a discussion without like offending each other and like other people. No, right? This
might be M and the M by the M and the PM by the time that we're done here. So watch yourself, brother. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna let you have it. Let's go.
No, let's. But no, we can definitely have a discussion because we're both grown adults and we don't roll in the mud just because we can. It's just an interesting discussion. And Mav, if you can you put up a poll in the chat? And just ask, if you could, just put a poll in the chat and ask everybody if they would be okay with mid-gen refreshes in 2023.
How about 2024?
Okay, put both, because that was what the slide said, 2023.
Okay, I got an idea, okay? Would you be okay with a mid-gen refresh in 2023?
And this is for both consoles, people. So whatever you own, would you be okay with a mid-gen refresh? With how the generation has gone so far.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Okay.
The poll's up.
All right. So obviously this caused a stir. People were posting this. Please go ahead and answer that question because I am generally curious about what everybody's thoughts are out there because I could be way far off base here, right? Way far off base. And again, Mav and I are completely on opposite sides here. We do have some differences in some of the key factors here. Mm-hmm. So Mav, I'm going to let you roll first. I'll let you start off and take your position. Okay. And go ahead and state the reasons why you are taking that position. And then I'll counter and we'll go from there. Okay. So, or I'll say my position and we'll see where we meet up and where we don't meet up. And then we can break it down from there. So anyway, so the slide came out, everybody started posting on social media, caused quite a stir. People wondering if this was something that was necessary, if they needed to do this. Some people cool with it saying absolutely. Some people saying absolutely not. So Mav, go ahead, state your position and why you feel that way and any kind of points that you want to make as far as why you believe what you do.
So first off, I do think if that happened, I would be completely okay with it, right? Like 2023, 2024 doesn't really matter to me either way. I would, if it did happen, I personally would expect it to be 2024, especially with everything that's gone on the last couple of years, right? Like I feel like originally it could have been potentially planned if this was real for a 2023, 2024 thing. And if that's true, then I would be leaning towards the back end of that now, if even being able to hit that target at all anymore. However, because of that situation, I would think it'd be more likely in 2024. Now, this has been alluded to in the past about the changing of console generations and where things are going with technology and all this kind of stuff. Because now currently, when you have a new Xbox, at least, right, your whole library comes along with you for the ride, right? So that's not something we've experienced before with console generations before the series console, where we knew that was going to be a fact and a given. So therefore, for me, it's different than in the past, where when you do something, you're like kind of moving the past behind, right?
Let me pause you real quick because Fifth Horseman, I was just thinking about this in my head. Fifth Horseman, stop reading my mind because I was just going to jump in here and say this. So if anybody understands what we are talking about is an actual performance upgrade mid-gen refresh, not just a downsizing,
right,
not just smaller chips, cooler, cheaper,
it would be
all
more
that
like
kind of
a
stuff.
1X to a 1, right?
Correct. It would be a performance
PS4 Pro
upgrade is what we're talking about. Correct.
Right. Yeah. And,
so go ahead, continue.
And along that vein, right, with the way tech is now and the way that I believe that Xbox is going forward and the consoles, in my opinion, should go forward, is more like a model where you buy the latest hardware and you have access to your entire library, right? Now, in the past, because the console generation lasted 7-8 years, by year 6-7, if you're buying a console, you're buying 6-7-year-old technology, right? So for me, it kind of makes sense for there to be a step up in the middle somewhere, right? Whereas beforehand, like it was like you buy this console, it's going to last a certain amount of time. You go buy another console, and you're going to get those games. It's going to last a certain amount of time. We're past that. Now this is in the phase where incremental upgrades are possible because they can update the games to go along with whatever hardware you own, more like a PC, right? And I feel like that's where Xbox is, and I feel like we're kind of past that old school console generation era. And if I personally am going to buy a console in 2024, I would rather have one that's maybe the latest technology possible that may play my games better than a console I bought in 2020. Now, if it erased the ability for me to play on my games and they erased support for the old consoles, I would be disappointed. But I don't think that's what would happen here. I think the Series X would still be a very viable, great console to own that would still be getting better throughout the course of the generation. And I would not get rid of my Series X's for the most part unless I decided, hey, for one of my TVs, I want to get a next console, whatever the Series Y is or Series Z, that just performs games a little bit better. Maybe you can hit 4K 120 or 4K 60 with ray tracing or something like that. Where maybe on the other one, you maybe not going to have that as consistently. So there's potential a little bit of a performance boost. Maybe you have like a bigger SSD or something like that. Inevitably, at that point, the Series X would be a little bit cheaper or just out in it now, and they just kind of replace it in the market with whatever the newest one is. And if it's 4 years for me, I'm completely happy with that. Like, I feel like that would give me better value if I'm buying a console in 2024 than if they just stayed with the status quo, right? So that's where I kind of am with it. Now, I don't think it needs to be like a yearly thing, right? So when I made comparisons where it's kind of like a PC or cell phone tablet situation where, because, and where I'm coming from with that is in PC and tablets and cell phones, you upgrade every year, every 2 years, and your everything comes along with you. All your apps, all your content, all your music, all your games, everything continues to go along with you. And whenever you have new hardware, a lot of times it performs better on those devices, right? And same thing with PCs. Like if you buy a PC in 2024, you wouldn't necessarily want to buy a 2020 spec PC, right? So, but it can play the same games, right? On one system, it can play better, and on the other one, maybe not. But if just because you have a 2024 PC doesn't necessarily make, if you're happy with your 2020 PC, doesn't make it like worthless. You know what I mean? And if there's such a ceiling with the Series X that I feel like there's a lot of unexplored potential there that they're going to get out of it. And I think Series X owners, PS5 owners are going to be happy either way. But for new people entering the ecosystem, or if you feel like you're one of those big enthusiasts, it's something that you could easily dive into and be like, okay, I'm a hardcore. I want the best of the best, right? And I feel like that's okay. I don't feel like it's a necessity for Xbox or PlayStation to do so. Maybe PlayStation for the chip shortage situation, if they can figure that situation out. But I don't think it's out of necessity, is that I think it's just like makes sense with the way that the current consoles are designed and with the capability of technology today and where they're going with this backward compatibility and forward compatibility from now on. With most purchases being digital and less physical, always upgrading hardware or getting whatever, like you don't want to buy a 2020 model TV in 2024. You don't want to buy a 2020 model anything in 2024 technology wise. So why consoles? Why can't, if with the ability is there for them to keep the price point the same and to keep everything you have come along with you for the ride, and there's ability for them to put out a better piece of hardware, then why not do it? We had a reason for that in the past, but I don't think that reason exists anymore. So I'm completely okay with that. So that's where I am. I know like maybe there's a little bit of difference there, but I'll let you speak your piece, Pong.
All right. I hear you. In theory, we agree. In theory, I don't have a problem if this is the new model. Okay? If this is the new model and this is what we are to expect from here on out for consoles, that is fine. In theory, I don't have a problem with the practice of a mid-gen refresh. However, the expectations have to be clearly stated from the beginning of the gen till the end of the gen by Sony and by Microsoft, if this is what we are going to go to. When I buy a cell phone, I know that the next model is going to be within the next calendar year, and my phone will be outdated within 12 months, sometimes even less than that. Whether I buy Android, whether by iPhone, it does not matter. I know what to expect. PCs, same thing. I know what to expect when I buy a PC with a 3080. I know the 4000 series are coming. Everything is laid out by all the other industries about what a customer who is entering that ecosystem can expect from the hardware that they're purchasing. TVs, stereos, all of it. The console makers have not laid out this plan. In fact, they deny it when it's asked of them if they're going to do a mid-gen refresh. Phil just last year denied that a mid-gen refresh was anywhere in sight. So if this is the case, I expect Sony and Xbox to come out immediately and start talking about it. And technically, my expectations would have been that they announced this at the beginning of the gen. I don't care what you want to say about, well, that'll hurt sales. People will wait. Well, if people are willing to wait for 4 years and they never really wanted your console in the first place. Okay? So again, that does not matter. If you're going to go to this model, and because we're now in the x86 architecture, and this is going to be similar from here on out, we're no longer doing the whole customization thing and all that kind of stuff. Sony still does a little bit on that on their side. That's fine. But you have to set the expectations for the customer up in advance, because for some of us, as the hardcore, like you say, or you know, whatever you want to call us, if we have to expect that we're going to upgrade, I need to know that. I can't have it come 2023 and they announce, oh, by the way, by the end of the year, we're going to have that. Not all of us work that way in life with our budgets and with everything in general. I have to know that. So that has to be, that is where I come in and say, look, if you guys are honestly going to start doing this, and this is going to be a regular thing, those systems have to be in place that we know about this roadmap ahead of time. Okay? Because unlike a PC, I'm replacing my entire console. As soon as that consoles can come out and I can replace individual pieces like graphic cards and all that kind of stuff, then come talk to me. But right now, I have to find a way to turn in my whole entire console and get a whole new piece of hardware. So you have to have not only the announcement that this is the model that you're going to go to, so that my expectations as a consumer are set correctly, that I could potentially be buying a piece of hardware for $500 that is going to be outdated in 3 to 4 years. And again, that's not what everybody does. And I'm not talking about everybody. I'm talking about me as a consumer here. So I need to know that up front. But then you also, for your customers who support this new system and your ecosystem, you have to eliminate the problem that you currently have when it comes to scalping, when it comes to finding these systems. If I have your current console, the Series X, I need an upgrade program that guarantees me one of your new ones. And Mav, I know you're going to say that the all access is there and that allows for upgrades, but not everybody gets approved for all access.
Yeah. If
they open up all access to everybody like a cell phone company does, you can walk in, you can have the worst credit in the world. You can still walk out with a one-line plan and you could still have a cell phone in your hand. You may not get approved for a family plan where you have 2, 3, 4 lines on there, but you will get approved for one no matter what. And they don't limit what type of phone you can buy. Okay, so if you are going to go to this system, you need to have an upgrade path for everybody who buys it, whether it's through all access or whether it is actually full price console that you just bought straight out of your pocket. There has to be a guarantee that me as a current customer who bought your system, the first version of your system, gets a second version of your system when that system launches instantaneously, just like a cell phone company. Okay, I need to be able to walk in and upgrade my Series X to the Series X2. Okay, period, point blank. That has to be in place if you guys are going to do this permanently, and this is going to be the new model going forward. Those things have to be put in place by Sony and Xbox. That's what I expect as a consumer. Now, does everybody expect that? No, of course not. I'm not putting this on anybody. I'm talking about me personally here, where I stand with this. I think it's very shitty to go ahead and deny that you guys are going to have a mid-gen refresh if the plans have been in place that this is exactly what's going to happen. Number 3, your system, when it launches, if you're going to do a mid-gen refresh 4 years, that may be okay in a normal generation. In this generation currently, that's not okay to me. Your system still is not performing where it needs to be. I still do not have a single game that pushes my hardware to the max. I still don't have a game that delivers on the promises that Xbox made. And if you look over PlayStation 5, PlayStation doesn't have one yet either. So I need to know that my system is doing what you said it would do from the beginning. And until you prove to me that it's doing that, then again, for you to come out and say, well, yeah, you know, all that stuff we told you it was going to be able to do, yeah, the tools and stuff, yeah, they just didn't work out the way we thought they were going to go do. So now we got to do this. This time, though, we promise you this time, you're going to get all the specs that we talked about. Look, that ain't cool, man. That ain't cool. If I pick up a TV that says 4K 120 on it, and it ain't doing 120, and there has been TV companies that have been caught doing this, false marketing, it's called false advertising for a reason. You got to show me that I paid what I paid for was exactly what you told me I was going to get out of that system. And right now, like I said, this generation especially, this one is different from any other generation we've been a part of because of the chip shortages, because of the pandemic, because of all the delays, because of the tool sets not being ready, because of everything that's happened. This gen especially, you have not lived up to your promises as a company. And for you to come out and then announce, well, yeah, this time around, really, no, this mid-gen refresh is really going to do it this time. That ain't cool with me, okay? That's not cool with me at all. So those are the 3 main issues I have with them going to this. Again, in theory, I don't have a problem. As a guy who has been a tech head for a long time, first stereos, car stereos, home theater systems, I understand that technology moves fast. I understand that when I buy a computer or I buy a cell phone, it's going to be out of date. But with a console, that hasn't been the case. Last gen is the first time it really happened like that outside of peripherals like a 32X, like a Sega CD, like the add-ons that we used to get back in the day, where we actually had a significant power boost towards the latter half of that generation. Now, if they were going to say that this was going to happen in 26, 27, okay, then cool. I can understand that as kind of carry over until the full next gen comes out. But they're not going to do that because money-wise, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. They did it last gen because they kind of had to. They were kind of forced into it by the way things were going. Those 2 systems, the PS4 and the Xbox One VCR, were not powerful enough to handle games that were starting to come out, and it was causing issues. So they kind of had to do it. Did some of us still live with the Xbox One VCR and the PlayStation 4? Yeah, some of us did. I did. I didn't go buy any regens or refreshes. I didn't buy any of them because I lived with it. But I was still rocking a 1080 TV at the time, so it didn't matter to me. But again, I think that if they're going to do this, it's cool. That's fine. If you're going to go to this model, if you're going to say now we got this, one kind of architecture, the x86, it's all in line with, PCs and everything else. And it's just we're just going to beef them up as we go every 4 years or whatever the case may be. That's fine. That's cool. But don't lie to me and don't tell me you're not planning on doing it. You got to come out and tell me that you're going to do this up front so that I know as a consumer what I can expect. That's the only thing that I'm really talking about here. And you just got to give me an easy pathway to upgrade.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got to have your current system doing exactly what you said it was going to do. That's a problem. Again, look at the uproar around Sony TVs that never got VRR until what? Just recently? They were promised VRR 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it was at that point. People were in uproar over it because it was BS. They advertised it. They said it coming in the next 12 months, VRR. Never happened. And people were clamoring for it. If you go into the forums, there was people pissed off who spent a lot of money on those TVs that weren't getting the full capabilities that were advertised. Again, that you can't do as a company, especially one, again, where you're dealing with, again, with PC and cell phones. They do other things. They do a multitude of different things, right? Cell phones and PCs can be used for all different things. So you have people using them for all different reasons. Some people are going to be cool with old ones. Some people are going to be okay. They have to have the new ones every single year. You're going to have that disparity. Consoles are made for one specific purpose, and that is to play games. Period. End of story. So if me as an enthusiast, and yes, it's an option map. Yes, you are correct on all your points. And that's why in theory, I'm okay with it, because now all the games carry over. You're not going to have the split there. You know, it's not going to be that deal where some people get to play certain games and other people don't get to play other games. It's not going to be that. It's going to be basically PC where the options are the big thing, where the high-end stuff, the latest and greatest, mid-gen refresh console will have more options when it comes to graphics and performance and all that than the old one, right? That's okay. And I get all that. That's great. But again, it has one specific purpose. So me as an enthusiast who does want the latest and greatest, I just have to know what to prepare for and what I can expect down the road going forward. And again, right now, neither one of these companies is admitting that they're going to do this.
Yeah.
And that's kind of BS. That really is.
Well, maybe they're not. I mean, we don't know, right? Like, as far as TCL goes, like
we're taking this as real, right? We don't know because again, VentureBeat came out today and said this is bullshit. This is just TCL pushing the reason why you need their latest and greatest TVs, doing the FOMO thing. Oh, if they come out with the next gen refreshes, you're going to want our latest and greatest TVs because this is where the performance is going to be at. So again, it's just we're just taking this discussion as if it's real.
And as Psychonauts like pointed out in our DMs too, like he said, they don't need to like last gen. Last gen they kind of needed to, right? Like Xbox One was like not performing at all, and it was like
that's exactly what I just said.
Power,
PS4
it was more
too.
expensive, everything. Yeah. So both consoles kind of needed it. As far as this generation, they don't need it. But where I'm coming from is that based on where I think console gaming is going in the future, it just doesn't. It wouldn't surprise me just because of the whole carry your library forward, and it's not a necessity anymore. It's more of like an option. Whereas if I've bought a Series X now, I don't feel like I have to upgrade it because I know there's still a lot more growth that's going to happen with that platform and a lot more. But when I'm coming from it from a technology perspective and like a consumer perspective, and if they can keep the cost the same to the consumer and just upgrade the tech every once in a while, then that would be kind of more in line with keeping consoles in line with PCs. Whereas beforehand, they would get so far behind by like year 8. Like the high-end PCs compared to like a low-end console is like such a crazy disparity, right? Whereas this would be more like incremental gaps that I would be personally content with. I wouldn't necessarily replace all my Series X's and stuff with the new system, but like I would probably get one as an enthusiast, and I think that's where it goes like in line with it's not necessarily a necessity, but just if they're going to have a SKU out there, I think at that time they would have one that could be potentially better with the current tech that's available. And as long as they don't get left behind and they don't support my current console that I have, then I'm personally fine with it. I understand where you're coming from too with like, hey, be transparent, right? Because that's important. We already had that with cell phones and tablets and PCs. Everybody understands that. With this, it is a change from the past, right? With this, it is a change in the way that the consoles are adapting to the future of where tech is and everything. So that needs to be translated a little bit more. However, I'm not 100% sure if they would do that, just because of like, hey, we don't want people to wait and all this kind of stuff. We want people to buy into the ecosystem.
Too bad.
I know.
Too bad.
Right. I get it.
Too
I
bad.
get it.
It happens to cell phones every year. Too bad.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
So I don't know when that timeline is that they do decide to do that. And as far as Xbox personally, as far as they go, they're in a better position for that because console sales aren't the number one de facto for them, as opposed to like currently PlayStation is, where PlayStation is like, that's the number one metric, right? So I think with Xbox, it's like, okay, they're just going to keep potentially updating hardware over time. PlayStation maybe be more of a necessity of potentially for the chip situation going on there. But overall, I mean, I think the situation we're at now, we're 2 years into the generation, right? And there is a lot of untapped potential on all platforms. Like a lot of you are saying, we haven't even seen the ceiling by a mile of what these consoles can do. So but at the same point, I think that's still going to happen regardless of what they do with mid-gen refreshes, right? So I'm happy for the consoles where they're at. It's interesting for me more than anything that PlayStation is going to 2025 with the PS4 as well, and so things are getting more interesting with that aspect of it, and that's what kind of making me think like maybe they need to do something because they keep extending this last gen thing, and now they're talking about PC gaming and all this kind of stuff, and they're not able to meet the demand. They just came out and said something about they expect the supply to get better in 2024. That's right. 2 years away, man. The 2.5, like if they go in the holiday, we don't know when in that year also. So
they did say that they did say that they're already seeing signs of it loosening up now, but that they don't expect it to really get better until 2024. Right. So take that how you want.
And who knows 100% what's going to happen. Anything can happen between 2022 and 2024, right? Ultimately, like again, man, you make great points. I don't necessarily disagree. I don't know if they would come out with like a trade-in program, like per se, like a cell phone company would or anything like that.
Then I will be pissed. I will be back on this show complaining.
and if that's the case, then everybody has right to. Me personally, I know we were joking around about this on DMs. I would just sell it on eBay or something like that because I'm going to get better price probably that way. Because that's where it's
direct from the company. Nobody sells their cell phones when they go to trade in because they give you huge value for your old cell phone.
I can
Note 8. Okay, to go to the brand new Galaxy S2 Ultra. Okay, or the whatever it is, S22 Ultra. To go to the brand new S22 Ultra, they're going to give me $700 for my Note 8. I can't get that on I can't get that on eBay for a Note 8.
Yeah, I don't know what cell phone carrier do you have?
Verizon.
Really? They giving you $700 for that?
$700, bro. $700.
That kind of used to be the way it was for Verizon with me and cell phones, but now they're just like now they do everything on the payment plan. You just pay monthly for your phones and stuff like that.
That's what I do too, but they cut down the price of the Ultra with your trade-in. And if you had certain phones, and the Note 8 is one of them.
Right.
So yeah.
That's all. I mean, it'd be interesting. Like I don't know 100%. I mean, I don't know if it's like feasible. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe they would do something like that. I mean, they could. You know what I mean?
Because they can turn around and sell them refurbed, right? They can turn around and sell them refurbed for almost full price, $50 off.
Well, for me, like what I was getting at was I've sold my Xbox Ones for like price of like a new console. Like,
but that was during the pandemic.
But I still right now I could do it. Like I could sell it
because people are still looking for them, right? But if everybody's trading, like if a mid-gen refresh comes out, we say we're just enthusiasts and we're a small portion. We are a small portion, Matt, but that small portion of 3 billion gamers is actually a lot. And if everybody goes to eBay and starts selling their Series X's because they're all getting the region, the value is going to drop dramatically, right? Right now, everybody's just looking for any console to play on, right? But with that, if all at one time, because it would happen all at one time, because all of us enthusiasts would jump on board.
Yeah.
Right? You know that, right? It'd be over with. So
I'm curious to see what happens with the used market, because it's really good for consoles the last couple years, and right now it's not slowing down at all. So it would be interesting. I mean, we went through a new gen releases of Series X's and PS5s still, where people are upgrading a lot and still getting a lot of high dollar value for all the old stuff. I even won Xbox One S's and stuff. I was getting like $250 for or whatever in the used market. So it's really interesting where it's going. I think that demand obviously has a lot to do with it. But yeah, because of the market, maybe Xbox could decide they'll buy them back and make it easy. I think for anything, it's more of an ease thing. Like make it easy for the consumer. And
that's what you need to do. That's my whole point.
Yeah,
that's my whole point. That's
but right now it's not even easy to get a damn console. So, and I don't expect that to be changing anytime soon anyway. So, like as far as the ease goes, like we'll see. I mean, I would love first thing they got to solve is make it easy to buy a Series X, make it easy to buy a PS5, right?
Yep.
Like if they can solve that, then everything's gravy. And maybe for PlayStation's side, if they were to do this, maybe somehow they can figure out a solution with that. And I think it was PlayStation's misstep for not having a Series S type option out there. Doing the digital PS5 is great, but they hardly have any of those out there available. Because guess what? They take as much to make as a PS5 with a disc, right? Whereas a Series S, you can produce a lot more of them right now. So that's why you're seeing the availability. So we'll see where it goes, man. It's an interesting discussion to have, right? The poll, most people say they are not okay with a mid-gen refresh, right? And I get it. For me, I get where everybody's coming from. For me, it doesn't make my Series X any less valuable to me personally. And if I go to the store and buy a new console, I'm like, cool, this one's even better, right? I'm just kind of coming from a simple mindset as that, as opposed to like I'm not abandoning my library and my generation of games, you know? So, no. I don't think there's really any wrong answer here.
And it's a great, no, there's not. It's a great point. It's personal. Like I said, I just think like I said, my main points, again, in theory, not against it in any way, shape, or form. It's just the customer service side of things has to change if you're going to change the model of how you deliver consoles on a different than what we're used to for decades, right? Until last gen, decades upon decades, it's been normal, right? Again, we had peripherals, we had the 32X, we had the Sega CDs, we had, the N64 had their, special stuff too. Look, everybody, they had those kind of things, but to actually start giving us new consoles within 3 to 4 years of a release would be a completely different type of cycle, and the customers have to be aware that that's the cycle now.
And so if it's 2024, I mean that's still 4 years, right? I know. It's back in the day. I remember our console cycles were like 5-6 years, right? They're a lot longer now.
And they would still make games afterwards. Again, Genesis when they moved on from Genesis to Saturn. They didn't stop making Genesis games. There was companies making Genesis games for the next 2-3 years.
Yeah, well, they were still making Xbox One games too, right? And PS4
exactly.
Games, right?
That's what I'm saying. But that's the generation extended. But now, if we're going to do this thing because it's like PC and all the games carry over and everything's all the same, now you're talking about a wholly different model, right, than what we've been used to. Because back in the day, the tech didn't stay the same, so it was a brand new generation. Now, if we're going to get rid of that term and we're just going to have kind of a continuation just with upgrades, okay, that's cool. I'm cool with that because the library carries over. It's just like PCs now. I can pop in a 10-year-old game or I could pop in a brand new game and it's the same on whatever system I got. That's cool. That's great. But the point being is then you got to just let us as customers know that the expectation, that's what we're doing now. Yeah. And this is going to change. So.
Well, we'll see. Maybe they'll come out and be like, if Phil gives hints to these things at times during interviews. In 2016, he did, but when he was mainly kind of, I think, talking about the 1X at the time in a lot of those interviews. But still, like a lot of the thinking, I think, rings true with some of his statements on where the technology is going and stuff. But we'll see where they go in the future. I do think it could have been something that may have been planned, but who knows with the chip shortages and how well it's going for Xbox currently, and with as much of a ceiling as there is left, if they decide, hey, we don't need to do it yet, we don't want to do it yet, we'll wait and do it later in the generation. But I do expect whatever the next Xbox is, regardless if it's 8 years from now, if it's 4 years from now, to be able to play every damn game that we already are able to play right now.
Yep. Exactly. And Tarquin, yes, awesome for you. Again, if you're on the all access program, you get the upgrades. Bro, that's fantastic, right? That's beautiful, and it's a great setup. And like I said in my opening statement, if they're going to do it that way, it'd be fantastic if they opened it up to everybody. Again, if they got to brick your system because you don't play the monthly bill, so you can't use it at any time, even offline. I don't know how they would do that if somebody just kept their system offline all the time. That's the only problem. But if they could figure out a way to do that, then yes, I would just want them to open up the all access and turn it into a cell phone business. I've said that for a long time. I said they easily could do that. When they came out with the all access program, that was the first thing I said. Oh, they're starting to move that cell phone way. And if they're going to go to constant refreshes every couple years, eventually, like PC cards, then yeah, that would make total sense to have that cell phone system in place, whereas anybody could walk in and walk out with at least one system and then just upgrade it whenever the new system came out. No big deal. Easy peasy. Box it up, change it, or partner with GameStop to have the exchange program right there. But your current customers who have been loyal to you get that upgrade instantaneously when they decide to move in. Yes, there can still be waiting times. Obviously, we've seen it with phones where phones get back ordered and all that. But you know that you're guaranteed to get one, and you're not going to have to go fight scalpers or wait for special onlines or be watching every single day, every minute of the day to try to hop in line and queue. None of that garbage for your customers. Make sure it's easy for your customers to get the latest and greatest if they want it. That's all I'm saying. So. Awesome topic, Mav. Good stuff right there, brother. Good stuff. Hey, look, let's talk about what should we get into? Let's get into some PlayStation news.
Ooh, boy.
Mav. Ooh, boy. Well, you talked about a little piece of it, right? They came out and confirmed that they're planning on supporting the PlayStation 4 through 2025. Brother, that's a little bit longer than what Jim Ryan initially said, wasn't it? Didn't he say 3 to 4 years?
Yeah.
I mean, we know originally it started as we believe in generations, and we're done. Yeah. Like it's PS5. Like from here on out, that's it, right? We know that's how it started, and then after the launch, it turned into actually, as Jasper says, we're gonna go. Support the PlayStation 4 for another 3 to 4 years. And now they come out and said 2025, Mav. Now, obviously, we know it's probably not going to be every single game from the first party studios. We have already seen, Ratchet and Clank, which we know could be done on the PS4. Still is only PlayStation 5 right now. If they come out with a PlayStation 4 version of that, oh my God, the internet will burn. But, I don't expect them to support the PlayStation 4 with every first-party studio. But what did you think when you first heard about this, man?
It's interesting, man. It's I mean, is it all their first-party exclusive? Like big.
What's your thought? I mean, I'm saying I don't think it's going to be every first-party. I think there will be some that are PS5 exclusive. Yeah. But go ahead. What do you think? What's your gut telling you? Because they certainly could.
Well, I think it depends on the game, right? Like, I think some of the games, like, here's the thing. We need to, at some point, move on past the last gen, even if games are scalable, right? Even if they're scalable, you're talking about developing stuff on almost 10-year-old hardware. And at that, by 2025, you're talking about making stuff for what would then be 12-year-old hardware still, right? And that's kind of, I get it, but is the investment of time worth it? And is that doing a detriment to the consumer because you take the development time you're having to invest to optimize for these old ass systems, 12 years old at that point now? Is it doing the best service for your game? I understand scalability and what a lot of people say, the graphics are scalable. Gameplay systems are not, maybe not physics systems, maybe some of these other things, right? Ray tracing type stuff, graphical effects stuff, but like resolution, right? Frame rate, fidelity options can be scalable, turned on and turned off, all of these situations. But it's interesting, like, what would a brand new first party huge tentpole game that comes out, let's say God of War reboot 2.0 or whatever, or Horizon
Last of Us 3.
Horizon Forbidden East, or Last of Us 3, right? Whatever.
Last of Us 3.
What would it play like on a PS4 in the year 2025? Right? You're doing a disservice, I think, to even the PS4 owners at that point. You know what I mean? Like, we saw games like Cyberpunk try and release on last-gen consoles and how that worked out. You know, like, I feel like you're stifling potentially ambition for the sake of the lowest common denominator. And at some point, that lowest common denominator is just too damn old, man. Move on. I want Xbox. I want PlayStation. Every big first-party franchise going forward, I would love if it was next-gen only. If you're doing, take advantage of the cloud, right? You got all those Xbox Ones out there. PlayStation, maybe you can get in line with this. You got your streaming service coming with PS Plus Premiere or whatever. Make some of these make some of these new games playable on PS4s only via the cloud. The Switch does that already for new games, right?
Right.
As well.
Right.
Cut the cord. Make this shit available. Like I said, I just saw Jigga J say, cut the cord. I'm like, cut the damn cord, man. I like it's okay. We're 2 years into this now. I understand console shortages. I understand chip shortages. I understand all that, man. But like, fuck. Can we move past at that point what would be a 12-year-old console? 12 years old. And the thing that bothers me the most about this, the thing that like really grinds my gears, Pong, that pisses me off, is how much shit Xbox got for like a whole year after they said they're going to be supporting Xbox One for like 1 to 2 years after the new next gen came out. And people are like, oh, you're holding back gaming. You're holding back gaming and holding back the generation. You're doing all this stuff. And you're ruining gaming for everybody because you're just going to keep supporting that lowest common denominator, the shitty old Xbox One, right? And now you got Sony being 2025, we're going to keep on doing it. You know, like, let's keep it going because we don't have enough PS5s out there. Well, they should have thought of that in the damn first place when they made the console and had a better option out there instead of what they're doing. You know, so, man, I don't get it. It's like, I understand the PC thing. I applaud that. I love it. We're probably about to dive into that here shortly. But extending the PS4 generation to get more sales out of these first-party damn games, it's just stupid. To 2025, come on, let's get past it. That's what I'm feeling. I don't know, man. It's just...
No, I mean, I agree with you completely. This is where Microsoft has the advantage because their xCloud streaming service is ready to rock and roll. Like you said, Sony's got theirs coming, and they should probably be looking at that to, you know, fill that gap per se that they have, if that's what they're going for, and they need to kind of let their customers know, hey, sorry, but comes a time and point where we do have to move forward. Technology moves on. You knew your PS4 wasn't going to last forever. You knew that, you know, again, even chip shortages aside, the pace that they're on, technically speaking, at a regular in just the last gen still would have been at an incredible, really good pace. Now Sony has personally fallen behind their pace last gen a little bit, but it's not like all of a sudden this chip shortage has caused them to sell 1/5 the consoles that they did last gen. They're still on a good clip, and we know Xbox is exceeding their clip from last gen, obviously, because Xbox One had such a terrible beginning. So we know that, but again, there still has to come a time and point where, like you said, Mav, enough's enough, and to expect their developers to continuously put resources in to the older console when they are currently finally getting the grips with the PS5 and really, you know, honing in on what they can do with this thing now. And again, we're talking, you know, 2023, 2024, 2025, because that's how far out we're going here. They're going to be in the midst of really pushing the PS5 hardware. To expect them to translate that into a PS4 game, bro, that's put a lot of pressure on your devs, man. And that's a lot of wasted time to maybe sell. I mean, again, how many people in 2023, 2024 aren't going to have a PS5 that want one? I mean, again, we all know people are struggling right now. So it's certainly a possibility a lot of people are still going to be rocking the PS4. Obviously, there's 120 million of them out there, whatever there is. But at the same time, those people you can't continue to cater to that group. That group has to understand that technology was limited, and they're already well beyond what should have probably happened if it had been a normal generation switch. So at some point you do. I agree. And they got to figure it out. So go ahead.
And Pong, like, if this wasn't an actual issue out there, of at least resources or something, then you wouldn't see Gotham Knights and Test Drive, the new Test Drive game, abandoning last gen and making announcements that they're going to be current gen only. Yeah. Right? They have both come out recently as third-party developers and said that. So they're leaving, again, they also are leaving money on the table by not releasing on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One as well, right? But it makes more sense for them to be current gen only, right? So there's a reason for that. They just don't like throwing money away. You know what I mean? So there is something to this, because you just don't make that decision for no damn reason, right? Like, I mean, unless they're just stupid. Like, I don't think that's the case. But you know what I mean? There's got to be something to it.
Maybe, Mav, just an idea off the top of my head. Maybe this is why they're investing in the mobile side of things too, so they can bring the mobile versions of their new games to PS4 and say we're still supporting it.
Think so?
Maybe that's what they're going to do.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
Hey, you can't buy The Last of Us 3 PS5 version, but we've got this version for you. Done by one of our best mobile teams ever, right? First party mobile team is all over it. Maybe that's what they do.
We got God of War Go coming. We got Horizon Forbidden Pop coming to you. Let's go. You know?
Still going to be a great experience for all of you on PS4 out there. That's what it's going to be. I'm half joking, but this is, honestly, it surprises me because of how far we've gone from, again, at launch. Nope. We're on PS5 generation. We believe in generations. It's done. It's over with. To now, just 2 years later, nope, actually, we're going to do 5 years.
We believe in last generation.
Yeah, we believe in last generation.
We believe in last generation
for at
more
least
than
5
current
years.
generation currently, because there's a lot more of those out there, and that's what they're focusing on. The other aspect of this is, like, the funny thing about that PlayStation fans and stuff, and people being like, the Series S is holding back next gen.
Right.
The Series S, which is like way like more advanced and capable than these last gen consoles that keep getting pushed forward by Sony, increasing the production on them. Even, like, it's nuts, man. They want to sell consoles. For Sony, still, consoles is the number one game for them, and they are limited right now. So they are doing everything they can to get around that. And guess what? Maybe it's to the detriment of their games. As they come out and they say that, well, Game Pass is, if we did a service like Game Pass, it would actually hurt the quality of our games. What about supporting the damn PS4 for 3 more years? Huh? What about that? Is that going to hurt the quality of your games? You gonna feed that bullshit to your audience as well? Because guess what? If it didn't matter, then you wouldn't have other third-party studios abandoning last gen left and right now, right? There's a reason. There's actually something to this, right? So who knows, man? I think that we're gonna see some more from both. Who knows about Forza Motorsport right now? I think it depends on the game. I think the scalability and all this kind of stuff, it matters, and like what games can be made on last gen and current gen, and what games can't. And again,
xCloud is going to be the X factor in all of this, Mav, because Microsoft is investing so much to get that tech up and running, and we'll probably talk about Keystone here in a little bit, but they're getting that tech up and running and making it the optimum experience that they possibly can. they're pouring billions of dollars into that eventually, even if, let's say, we get to a point where the Series S is the lowest common denominator and some devs are having issues with the Series S, they now, with what they're pushing with the development techniques in the cloud and all that kind of stuff, Xbox, I believe, Microsoft as a whole is believing that they can close that gap with xCloud so that eventually you'll be able to combine, you can have a game downloaded to the Series S, but if there is something that the dev needs more power for, they're going to be able to run it through they're going to be able to run it through the cloud and make up that gap. Or at worst case scenario, it's going to be the same thing with the Xbox One and Xbox One X, where if the Series S can't handle something, it's absolutely at its limits. There's nothing left to give out of it. And the dev just goes, look, we can't do anything else. Worst case scenario, Xbox has to say, guess what? This game's available through cloud on your Series S, right? It's not going to be optimum. It's not going to be the best option available. But at the end of the day, they'll still always have that there as a backup to say, look, you could still play the games. And so I think that is going to be the real deciding factor this gen and going forward, is if they get that technology ramped up the way they think they can, brother, they have an advantage over every other person, including PC. There will be things that can be done in the cloud that cannot be done through standard development techniques because of the basically unlimited capabilities of a cloud structure. That's going to be the deciding factor at the end of the day. So I think that's where that real big kind of disparity between what Xbox has going with their ecosystem and what Sony does is going to really hit home, as when that comes up to full spec as Xbox sees it in the future. So I think that's going to be huge. And I think it comes sooner than later. They're getting close. They're really pushing a lot of things right now behind the scenes that are really going to move the cloud development cycle forward in a lot of ways. So, but yeah, no, I think this is crazy. Again, it didn't shock me. Sony's in penny pinching mode. We just saw that this week with the whole the PlayStation Plus Premium upgrade debacle that they had going on, that they came out and said, oh, it was a mistake in the programming. We got it fixed now. So you're not going to get that charge, that difference between your reduced discounted subscription that you stacked. You're not going to have to pay that difference now. They quickly turned the corner on that one when they found out that was not going to be a go. And they're issuing
store credit as refunds.
That's ridiculous. Yep. But again, that's penny pinching by Sony. Again, Sony, Jim Ryan, his numbers guy, he's going to nickel and dime you all the way. And until you as fans stand up and say enough's enough, nothing's going to change, man. He's going to take that extra $10 from you on every single game that you go ahead and allow him to do so. He's going to do it. He's going to try to sneak in an upgrade fee for your subscription service that you legally stacked. He's going to try to do it because that's Jim Ryan. He's going to make those numbers what they are at the bottom line. Again, I give the guy all the credit in the world for being a businessman, but again, as a customer service friendly side of things, no. But their hardcore fan base, their fanatics, they all just lap it up and say it's okay. So
because
until that changes,
money goes towards the quality of the game.
Correct, sir.
So that's where it's Matt. That's where the difference is. Yeah. Because they got the games, got those games. I'm looking forward to a lot of the games. Right, I'm trying to get another PS5 right now. So I'm 100% on board with PlayStation. But like as far as some of the stuff, you got to call it out. You know what I mean? Yep. Like you got to call it out, and you
got to call it out, man. So, but yeah, so that was the first part of Sony stuff this week, and then the second part was, and this, again, we're talking about the small, loud minority in this community, right? When it comes to Sony fans, when it comes to the fanatics, we are talking about a select group of people, but it's always funny when this stuff shows up, when Sony themselves are screaming from the rooftops of what they're going to do, where they're taking their platform, and what the future holds for all Sony fans. And the fanatics just turn their back and go, la, 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 can't hear you. Everything's going to stay the same. Look, at some point, you all are going to have to move the goalposts yet again, and I've seen it start already. you are going to have to move the goalposts again. You're going to have to be the hypocrites you always are, because Sony also came out and had a nice big slideshow, Mav, showing off all the pretty numbers of Sony, which they are. They're beautiful. But one slide in particular really caught the attention of everybody, and that was the PC sales number slide. So let's run through these numbers real quick, and I'm reading off Benji Sales. Shout out to Benji Sales, amazing member of this community. I can't join his live. He does weekly live chats where he covers all the business side of the industry. He's very good at digesting numbers, covers other topics too, but he randomly pops them up throughout the week when he has the time to do it. Dude's amazing. Go follow him on Twitter if you're not already. So he breaks down things beautifully. Love the guy to death. One of the nicest dudes out there, and that's a fact. But he broke this down on Twitter. So official PlayStation PC sales numbers revealed by Sony. Horizon Zero Dawn, 2.39 million units sold, and that was released back in August of 2020 with $60 million in revenue. Days Gone, the failure that Days Gone was, that Sony could never support a second Days Gone because it did not meet the review standards of a Sony home run, Sony banger, as the kids like to say. It did not meet those standards. They cannot possibly do it, but they put it on PC May 18th, 2021. So just a year ago, it has sold 852,000 more copies on PC for a total of $22.7 million in revenue. God of War, the one that was never going to go to PC, Mav, never, ever going to PC. Mark it, bank it, not happening. God of War showed up, as we know, January 14th, 2022. So a little, just not even 5 months yet. 971,000 copies for an additional $26.2 million in revenue. And then they went on, Mav, to include their fiscal year PC growth.
Yeah.
So fiscal year 2020, they made $35 million. Fiscal year 2021, that increased to $80 million in revenue. Then they forecasted. This was Mav.
Crazy. Yeah.
This is crazy. So again, people are like, no, it's not going to happen. They're not going to do the full slate, even though Jim is out there in quotes, full slate. They're not going to do it. They forecast fiscal year 2022, people. We're already in 2022. Fiscal year 2022, they are forecasting $300 million in revenue from PC sales. Guess what? We get found out that Returnal for sure is coming. And we know there's a good chance that God of War Ragnarok is going to show up there, and probably Bloodborne. Look, it is no question that they are going towards closer and closer day and date PC, because you don't think these numbers aren't exciting the Sony board. You don't think Jim is just licking his lips in anticipation while he's sitting there thinking about what this revenue is going to be able to allow PlayStation to do in the future as they put more games on PC, and to come out and say that you're going to almost quadruple last year's fiscal year when you had Days Gone, when you had Zero Dawn over there, when you had Death Stranding on PC as well. That was not included in this, by the way, which was interesting. I would like to see those numbers as well, what they've sold there. You don't think that they estimate quadrupling, and you don't think they're not looking at that and going, yeah, we're going to put Returnal there. Returnal is going to give us $300 million in revenue, along with God of War, Zero Dawn, Days Gone. The ones we already got there, yeah, those are going to make not going to make $300 million. They're planning on putting more titles in there this year as a fact, according to those estimates. Matt, did you get the same idea when you were looking at these stats?
Yeah, obviously he keeps saying it in quotes too when talking about after the Bungie acquisition and stuff, and then you had more quotes from other Sony executives recently talking about, hey, you see we're going multi-platform, and all this stuff. It's just the writing's on the wall. I think it's a good thing. There's no reason not to. right? Like, I feel like there's a lot of people that were like, hey, like it makes the PlayStation less special or something like that. I've never been one of those people. Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I just like the ability to play a game wherever you want to be able to play it. If you have a system that's capable of playing it and they put the game on that device, and that's great. For me, PlayStation has its own value in the console itself, right? Xbox has its own value in the console itself because I prefer to play on a console, and I think a lot of gamers are the same way. The more they're moving to like PCs, I see a lot of PC gamers that used to primarily only play on PC actually start getting consoles and playing on them as well because it's a cheaper alternative than to get like a $1,500, $2,000 console to be able to kind of meet the same specs that some of these games are getting put out, right? So for me, it just makes sense. If you're limited right now in the amount of PlayStations that you can put out there, instead of extending last gen, just focus more on PC and let's do that, right? Like, because there's a lot of PC gamers out there that only play on PC that are hungry for those top tier AAA big time franchises PlayStation's known for making, the super quality games that win all those awards, right? Like, yeah, if you gatekeep something into like a closed ecosystem, it's great for selling that platform, right? It's great for selling a box, you know? But if a game can be enjoyed beyond that box by more people, it still plays great on the box. If you like the box, get the box. If you don't want the box, you play it on something else. You're going to get the best experience no matter where you play. And I think that's an okay thing. Maybe some people don't agree with that because it devalues that box to them, right? For me, it doesn't, because the box stands on its own. So I think it's a good business move from them. It's interesting to me still, with one question I have, is the design of the PS5 and why they went the direction they did with the SSD being the primary focus on that, with instead of like graphical power and all that stuff. Now, not to say it doesn't have great graphics and all those kind of things, but that was like the lead talking point and the big differentiator going for the PlayStation 5. But then knowing that all of these PlayStation first party games are going to be going to PC, the SSD on there is going to be for a long time more minimum spec on a PC than it is on a PlayStation 5. So it kind of begs the question of like design choices they had made at the time. It leads me to believe they didn't make this decision until after they had already concretely decided on what the design was for the PlayStation 5 as well. Because you wouldn't necessarily like go that direction on one device when you know you're bringing out everything else on other devices. You could have made your allocated your resources elsewhere. Who knows in the long term if that's going to be a wise decision or not. Maybe they'll have some crazy ass stuff that comes out in like 2026, 2027. That's just mind blowing. And at that time, minimum spec PC will have caught up to it and stuff like that. Who knows? But as of right now, that promise of that whole situation isn't really going anywhere, right? So I think it's both consoles have a lot of ceiling left. PC is always going to be the highest spec and always going to be the lowest spec as well. So we'll see, man. I think that we're going to see some great games come out on PC. A lot of people are going to be able to enjoy them. I'm happy for that, especially if you can't get a PlayStation. To be able to play God of War Ragnarok eventually, who knows, maybe 3 months, 6 months after the console release, maybe a year. Who knows when it's going to happen. But if they're broadcasting 2022 fiscal year at that amount, that would lead me to believe more in the 3 months to 6 month category as opposed to a year, right?
Yep.
Because that's the big one. Okay. Gran Turismo also put in that territory at some point, may hit that as well. Yep. For me, it leads me to think maybe 3 months, 6 months after release, that could potentially come to PC. And guess what? You're going to be able to play it at probably 4K. If you have a great PC, you can play 4K 60 with ray tracing and all these beautiful effects and stuff if you can't get a PS5. So that's awesome. Yay. Happy for gamers. It's good for PlayStation. They're going to make more money. It's going to help grow their business. So I don't see any reason not to.
Absolutely, 100%, Mav. I agree with you in total, right? So, hey, first of all, quick shout out to the Queen, Ash and Luca, popping on in here. Good to see you for sure, sis. Thank you for dropping on in here. Mr. Joanna Dark, great to see you as well, sir. Sappho, awesome that you dropped in here, having great discussions in there as well. Thank you all for being here still and listening to me and Mav just talk some BS about games, man. This is what we love to do, and we appreciate every single one of you hanging out with us tonight. Listen, Mav, when it comes to this, look, Jim bought the gold mine when it comes to Nixxes, right? When he bought Nixxes, the writing was on the wall. That was their key. And if for anybody who doesn't remember, Nixxes is the software developer who is known for their PC ports. Everybody knew that that was the move, that they were going to start these franchises on a quicker cadence coming over to PC. And I think somebody else in the chat too, I forget who it was, asked when their fiscal year 2022 ends. I believe it's March 2023 is the end of fiscal year 20. Yeah, I believe it's March of next year is their actual end of 2022. Don't quote me on that if somebody knows for sure, but I believe it's March for Sony. They are going to do this, Mav. Again, when Jim sees the numbers and when Jim is trying to convince the Sony board that this is the future, that the console market has been capped, that all their success that they've had for decades, while it's been absolutely ridiculously good, the future moves beyond that now, and they can't go ahead and limit themselves to that console market anymore if they want to grow with the industry. All the acquisitions that they made last year, maybe they weren't as big as what Xbox was doing, right? They don't have that $1 trillion bankroll behind them. They got billions, but they don't have trillions. That's different. But at the same time, all those acquisitions were for a reason, to start beefing up their titles, to get them out quicker, to have support teams to help some of their first-party teams. They've been growing their first-party teams. I expect most of them, Insomniac, Naughty Dog, Guerrilla, all of them to start working on more than just one game at a time. I expect them to be working on multiple games. And we've talked about this previously too, Matt. Games as a service are coming. Jim said originally 10. I saw an article today saying that they confirmed 14 titles, games as a service titles now. 14. Look, they're changing their business model, but Jim can't do it the way that Phil did with Satya behind it. Jim has to do it in pieces. He has to convince that Sony overlords, the group that has been there for a long time, that is made up of mostly older men with a couple women sprinkled in there, but you can go check out the picture for yourself, who have a mentality that is hard to shift. From my point of view, when I look at it, that's hard to shift because they have seen so much success, and PlayStation has basically been Sony's breadwinner for so long. They don't want to mess with it, and I don't blame them. But at the end of the day, Jim knows. Jim sees what's going on. Herman Hulst sees what's going on, but they have to set themselves up for this new future. Their studios are making first-party titles. And again, I say one and done. I know there's plenty of people who go back and play them multiple times, but overall, those are one and done titles which don't support this. But what Jim can do is what he's doing over on the PC side, what we just saw here. That 300 million, if they can hit that estimated mark for this year, for this fiscal year, that's going to go a long way to convincing that Sony board that this is the way to go and that Jim's on the right path and that he's following along in his own way right behind Phil towards this new future. We also got word today, Mav, that for the first time, Sony's digital purchases crossed the 70% mark. 70% of people are now buying digital on Sony. They're the least out of the big three.
Yep.
Xbox has been leading that way for a very long time because obviously that's Xbox. That's what they do. But Sony has now gotten to that point where 70% of their purchases are now digital. Again, whether people like that future or not, that's a whole separate debate. And I understand the physical people and why they're concerned about an all digital future. I get it. But it's headed that way because that's where tech is going. Jim knows this. But the PC market is going to help Jim convince everybody that needs to be convinced that they are on the right path. And what that means for Sony players, again, even the fanatics who want to scream, cry, goalpost move, hold on to what they've got left of the old Sony, this means more and better games for everybody. This is why Mav and I and Steel and I on Saturday mornings and most of our shows, even on the Xbox-centric shows, all of us are passionate gamers at the end of the day. Whether we have a preference this generation or any generation or not, at the end of the day, we always try to look at the big picture of things. This industry is exploding right now. And that growth is going to mean better things for all of us. Now, again, if you hate games as a service, you may not be excited for where Sony's going right now because they're going to focus on that. They said they're going to split, I think, 50-50 into their first parties and into third-party development, and games as a service is going to be a big part of that. But that's what they need to do to keep up. And again, this is going to open up more and more opportunities for gamers, for developers, and for Sony in general. And again, we want that. We want a strong 3 in this marketplace. Now, all of us, even though we take the long view and we look at things from a satellite view, from that RTS view, like Steel likes to say, even though we look at it that way, we don't want the outsiders necessarily coming in. You know, the Amazons could screw up things. The Apples could screw up things, right? The Tencents we already know can screw up things. So we don't necessarily want that. But the big 3, I want them strong. Even if I don't own all 3, I want them strong. And Jim Ryan, again, he's not a gamer. We know this. He's not a gamer. He's not Phil. But at the end of the day, we know he's going to do the best for Sony as far as numbers go, which is going to make them stronger. That's why, again, I give him the respect that I don't like the nickel and diming. I don't like the sneaky tactics. I call it out all the time. I don't like any of that nonsense. But at the end of the day, he's going to make those numbers strong. That PC category is the first step. Now they've got the subscription service coming in. We're going to see how that evolves as they move forward. But again, for all the fanatics out there who keep saying it ain't going to happen, it ain't going to happen, Sony's telling you direct to your face. It's not us. It's Sony. Sony is holding up big giant signs, neon signs saying, this is where we're headed, folks. This is what's going to happen. So get ready to move your goalposts and make sure that you get ready to say, oh, this is okay now, right? Because Sony's doing it, because that's exactly what they're going to do. But again, I was shocked when I saw the 300 million map. I won't lie. When I saw that jump, when I saw the numbers, and then I saw they were estimating 300 million, I'm like, bro, that means they have to be planning on putting some of their biggest titles that aren't currently on there out this year on PC.
I'm curious if that includes forecasting of after if potential Bungie acquisition goes through as well, because
yes, that's a good point too. Whether or not they're forecasting the Destiny revenue in there,
right?
Yeah, that's a good
curious
question
about that. You know, because that would make a significant jump for them, obviously, right? I
don't think they would, because that's going to go through FT. I mean, again, I don't know. Again, I don't want $1 billion company.
We don't know. Like, it's speculation for them even at that point, right? So
right. It'd be highly speculative because again, that deal's going to be looked at too, and they don't know when it's going to close for sure, right? So if they close it in December or January, they're only going to get a couple months out of that. So that would be
Alvin gave us the answer. I was curious about this. He said they specifically said it doesn't include Bungie.
Okay, thank you, Alvin. I appreciate you, brother. Come through. So
that is huge, dude. That's like it was like. So what are they going to bring? You know, like what you're talking about. If you're talking about fiscal year, if it ends in March 2023, hypothetically, if that's what the date is, that means they got about less than a year to release what games on PC, right? Like what's coming?
Returnal's coming for sure.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima, I would imagine, is coming, right? I think that Gran Turismo has a good chance. I think Bloodborne will be a huge seller on PC.
Oh yeah, it would be
huge seller. And again, don't forget to included in this, we also found out that they are now officially, according to not officially, but according to the hiring, that they are working on their own PC launcher as well.
Yeah.
So again, they're moving full bore, but Bloodborne. If only
would have said Returnal, that somebody. If only somebody a while ago should have said that. Maybe they should do that. Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting, right? Interesting. So Bloodborne, Returnal, Ghost of Tsushima, and then look, Horizon Zero Dawn isn't selling the best. If that's ready to rock and roll, maybe they release that to get some more sales. If they're not happy with them internally. I'm not saying it's selling poorly by any stretch of the imagination, but according to Sony, it may be selling poorly. They have not announced any figures. Or God of War Ragnarok is maybe, if it comes this year, going to be their first day and date PC title, and they've been making it alongside of the team. It's a possibility. I'm not saying for sure, but it's a possibility because we know for a fact if they did that, that would be millions of sales up front. Like there would be PC people who do pay the full price to play God of War Ragnarok at its best on PC. So I think that if that were to happen, that might be where they're estimating, because they would, PC players, as much as they say they would never pay full price for a first party title from Sony out the gate, they would pay for it for God of War Ragnarok. So
yeah,
that's my idea. But yeah, they've got to have a slate, man. They've got to have a slate.
5
to be
games,
projecting
maybe?
4 times that kind of growth, bro. Yeah, you got to have a slate. Yeah,
I mean, interesting, man.
Well, I would say between 3 and 5 games this year. It will be interesting to see. I mean, who knows? They could shock the world and say Spider-Man's coming to PC. I mean, again, that one alone might do it. I mean, again, Spider-Man has been wanted on PC for a long time. So if they shock the world and say Spider-Man's coming, that might do it by itself. So, yeah. Interesting times though, to be sure. Definitely eye-opening for everybody who didn't see this coming.
If they do it, they have this PC launcher and they keep doing this. Yep. How long will people tolerate the lack of cross-buy and cross-save?
Good question. Again, Sony gets away with things that others don't, kind of like Nintendo. So it's certainly possible that stays minimal. But obviously, the more people that start playing their games on multiple platforms, that murmur will grow louder and louder, right? Obviously. And
I think right away, obviously, it'll get away with it 100%. But like over time, you know, over time, I'm wondering.
They're going to have to make that happen, right? They're going to have to merge and figure out how to do that, like the way that Xbox has, or some version of it. I don't think they'll ever get it as smooth as Xbox, but maybe, again, with that deal with the Xur servers, who knows? Again, Xbox and PlayStation, yes, they're competitors on certain levels, but at the end of the day, they're business partners. Yeah. People don't realize this. Again, Sony does some, backhanded things to Xbox, and there's been all that, and that's all true. And all's fair in love and war. But at the end of the day, they are business partners. At the end of the day, Phil's talking to Jim more than we know about, and talking to Bowser more than we know about, because they want to see this industry remain strong. And they don't want the outsiders coming in. Jim, even though he's not a gamer, he doesn't want another big player in this space, which would hurt him, right? If another big player starts coming in and eating up more third-party titles, more third-party IP, that's not good for Sony, right? They're going to lose a lot off this Call of Duty thing once the Activision Blizzard deal goes through. So he doesn't want that either. So I think that they talk more, but who knows? Maybe Xbox helps him out. Maybe Xbox helps them, work out the kinks that they may come across when it comes to that, just to make sure that Sony does have a capable system that allows that. Because you're right, Mav. As this goes on, as more and more games show up and more people get used to the idea of playing on PC for PlayStation and then going back to the PS5, they're going to have that in place, because people aren't going to stand for it for very long.
Yeah. So, and also with them going to mobile too, right?
Yeah, mobile too.
So that's a whole...
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that. Again, they hired that Apple guy away from Apple Arcade to start doing the mobile stuff, but I haven't seen them buy any mobile developers yet that I can think of that have done any mobile stuff. Maybe they're doing it internally, but I expect them to make a purchase in the mobile market too, to get a developer underneath their umbrella for that, because they're serious about it. They want to get it. So again, 2 billion, 3 billion. That's what Jim sees. Jim knows that Phil and Satya are right. That's where the market is. So they're going to go after it for sure. Mm-hmm. So, oh man, we are just slam dunking these topics. 2 hours and 20 minutes already in, brother. It's crazy. Fast. It just flies by, man. It just flies by. Chat, you guys are all absolutely incredible out there. Discussions, again, I'm reading through them. It's absolutely awesome that you guys are involved in this, and that you are talking about the stuff that we're talking about. Appreciate it. Okay, Grasso did. Tony Grasso, I missed yours though. You said that you heard from Bad Bit today. That Forbidden West was right around 2.9 million sold right now, somewhere in that neighborhood, 2.9 to 3.9. I think that's probably a fair guess. Like I said, I think that's probably below what Sony expected. Again, the phenomenon that Elden Ring was really killed that game, along with all the little bugs and stuff that they had, and that word of mouth kind of spread out there. But the Elden Ring tidal wave washed out a lot of those sales. So I'm assuming they probably were expecting closer to 5 6 million within that time period than the 2.9, 3.9 million. That's why I could see it going to PC faster too. But thanks for that, Tony Grasso. Appreciate you, brother. Mav, Keystone.
Oh, yes. The good old hockey puck.
Ooh, we talked about this, brother. We talked about this, what was it, 2 months ago now when this rumor hit, when somebody had data mined, remember, and they saw the code word in the list of hardware code names for Xbox, and it was kind of in the middle of everything, and everybody was like, what's Keystone? What's Keystone? We had these conversations on different shows, and most of us were guessing that it was the puck, but obviously you never know. Microsoft is always working on stuff. And you never know what their code names are going to be. And you never know if they've got something that, hey, they could have been researching that they never planned on coming out with. And they just threw it in there as a code name while they had it, for internal development purposes, right? That stuff happens all the time. So it's really hard with these things. But Jez today, of course. Jez Corden, of course, of the famous Jez Corden of JezCast with Xbox 2 with Rand Thor, where Rand interviews him every week. But he came out with an article today on Windows Central explaining that, in fact, Keystone is the wireless xCloud puck, whatever you want to call it, that is being developed now. There was a little bit more information that it is still being iterated upon internally, that it is not close to launch, that they are currently working on it, but it is not something we had talked about, maybe this holiday, alongside Starfield, that we could see this thing. Well, from what Jez wrote and what other people were saying, is this thing is not close. That we can expect it to be, that it is being worked on, but it's not going to be something that we see. So relatively shortly. So Mav, what do you think, brother? We talked about this a lot. I can go ahead and let me read this article real quick. I don't think it's very long. Jez made it pretty.
He did a good job.
Yeah, he did a great job. So let me read this article again. WindowsCentral.com. Jez Corden, exclusive. Microsoft continues to iterate on the Xbox cloud streaming device codenamed Keystone. For a few years, rumors have persisted that Microsoft was exploring building some form of streaming stick to offer xCloud gaming via a more affordable dongle, similarly to Chromecast and Google Stadia. The first hint was Project Hobart. More recently, a codename Keystone appeared in an Xbox OS list, lending fire to rumors that Microsoft was continuing to explore additional hardware for the Xbox lineup. We can now confirm that is indeed true, and it pertains to a modernized HDMI streaming device that runs Xbox Game Pass and its cloud gaming service. Microsoft is, however, exploring additional iterations of the product before taking it to market. In a statement provided to Windows Central, a Microsoft spokesman described its commitment to lowering boundaries to Xbox content via low-cost hardware, while acknowledging that the existing version of Keystone needs a little more time to bake before going live. Quote, "Our vision for Xbox cloud gaming is unwavering. Our goal is to enable people to play the games that they want on the devices they want, anywhere they want. As announced last year, we've been working on a game streaming device codenamed Keystone that could be connected to any TV or monitor without the need for a console," a Microsoft spokesman stated. "As part of any technical journey, we are constantly evaluating our efforts, reviewing our learnings, and ensuring we are bringing value to our customers. We have made the decision to pivot away from the current iteration of the Keystone device. We will take our learnings and refocus our efforts on a new approach that will allow us to deliver xCloud gaming to more players around the world in the future." End quote. From what we understand, Keystone has been in development for a couple of years, with Microsoft continuing to finalize the product's feature set. To speculate, this is Jez speculating, Keystone could eventually run some sort of slimmed down Windows or Xbox OS, given that Keystone originally appeared in an OS list alongside the different Xbox platforms like era and Game OS. Utilizing Windows instead of alternatives like Android would allow Microsoft to offer its own streaming media apps like Microsoft Movies and TV. Although using Android OSP would potentially be a quicker route to the market, leaning on apps like Netflix and perhaps Spotify. The exact timeline for Keystone remains unclear, but I wouldn't expect to see it anytime soon, particularly not at the Xbox and Bethesda showcase coming up on June 12th. A low-cost streaming device makes obvious sense from a business perspective as Microsoft pushes to bring Xbox Game Pass to more households who perhaps aren't interested in owning a full-blown console. Microsoft has also previously hinted at bringing TV apps for xCloud gaming as well, which would lower the barrier even further. Either way, I'm excited to see what Keystone will look like in action once it's ready. Great article by Jez. Shout out to him. So, Mav, what's your thoughts, brother? We've talked about this a lot, but what's going on? What do you think?
I mean, we've been talking about this really for a couple of years, to be honest with you, you know, about where they're going and how it would make sense to eventually have a streaming stick. There was rumors in the past about them possibly thinking about it. Then was it a couple months ago? Then that information had come out, and now Jez is pretty much coming out with even more concrete information. I don't know when we'll see it, but it makes a lot of sense. I think the cloud is getting better and better every year. We're seeing every couple of months some improvements as well from Xbox with the xCloud, and next step is get it to the masses, right? So, you know, consoles and mobile phones, you know, you got the messaging there. So when next stop for me is retail. You know, one thing that I don't think a lot of people have really thought about too much is when you have a device like this, you can put it in the store, like a Walmart, a Target, something like that for the everyday consumer that is not in the video game section, right? So a lot of people, like I went a couple months back and I was looking for a streaming stick, right? And I went in that category. I got to look at, okay, there's Google Chrome, Cast, there's a Amazon Fire Cubes, right? The Fire Sticks, there's the Rokus, right? Imagine putting an Xbox device on that shelf with those other ones. This one has more capability because guess what? These can play actual big time AAA games and has access to Game Pass, right? As well as Netflix, as well as Spotify, as well as Amazon Prime, as well as all of these other streaming services that everybody uses, HBO Max and all that kind of stuff, right? So if you have that there on that shelf and it becomes a decision from an everyday consumer, like, okay, well, look, they're all like roughly the same price. This one comes with these things that I don't get with the other stuff. Maybe my kid, or maybe, you know, might like to try one of these games sometime, right? And guess what? Maybe you might win over some of those consumers who would have never in their wildest dreams thought to purchase a $300, $400, or $500 game console or a PC for gaming, right? And at that point, you know, the cell phone, you know, you got to go onto the website, do all this stuff. Guess what? You go at home, you plug in that streaming stick, you know, to your TV, and it's like, bam, Xbox is in your face. You got all this advertising. You got Candy Crush going to be there, right there, right in front of your face on it. You know, you're going to have Halo, and you're going to have the Paramount Plus right there. You're going to have Netflix, all these things, and Game Pass, right? Game Pass. Hey, try it for $1 for 3 months, just like they have been or whatever, and you get to play all this stuff. Fortnite, play for free. You don't even have to have an account like they're already doing on mobile, right? Guess what? You get to play Fortnite, one of your kids' favorite games, one of the most famous games in the world. Play it right now, right away. You don't even have to pay anything, right? Don't even have to pay for Xbox Live Gold or whatever. That's the way it's going now. I think that's kind of the future with where it's going, and as cloud gets better and better, those games are going to perform just as well as they do on a next-gen console, maybe with a little bit of latency. To the average consumer like that, do they really care? 100%? Maybe not if they have the good internet connection. 4 or 5 years from now, imagine the possibilities. Imagine the possibilities, as was also rumored in that previous one a couple months ago about the Samsung TVs and all that stuff, including the app built in. Imagine the possibilities of everywhere, every device that you have, potentially just having a Game Pass app right there, right? That's where the future is for Xbox. It's not just confined to one device, right? The device is an option to play that ecosystem at its best, right? As a enthusiast, as a consumer of video games that I love, Xbox Series X for me is the best place to play currently right now, right? But that may not be like for everybody. And if you're trying to go after everybody, maybe some people aren't going to care about having that best experience. And I think that's where you're going to reach out and get a lot of people going in there at a very reasonable price. It's going to get a lot of interest from consumers. You're going to have more of these huge AAA games. They're going to be in the news, going to be on the media, going to be commercials, all dropping all the time. And the Game Pass is going to be very forefront. I could see 3 years from now this vision like just being something that we were like, wow, we talked about it, but we didn't see it hitting us like this, like a sledgehammer, how everywhere Game Pass is. Is this going to be like the number one selling device in the world or anything like that? No, I mean, but it's going to potentially invite a lot of consumers into there. And for me personally, I would own multiples of those because whereas last generation, it's what I have a lot of rooms in my house. I saw people giving King David flack for having purchased another Xbox, right? And he's like, look, I got like, he has 5 bedrooms. He has like 2 game rooms or man caves, he said, and he's got this or whatever. He's like, what does he expect people just to walk around his damn console everywhere like they play? We kind of have a similar situation.
If you got the money, who cares?
Right. Like, so if you have, like, my daughter plays in her bedroom, my daughter plays in the living room. You know, I play here in my office. I play in the bedroom. My wife plays in her office. You know what I mean? Like, she plays in the bedroom. There's, we have a game room and also another room where we have a bigger screen where we watch and play games at. For me, last generation, I ended up owning 8 damn Xboxes, right? I would completely be happy with on some of those screens just getting a streaming puck and being content with that instead of having to go all hardcore where I know this place where I'm sitting right now, I want that Series X, right? I want that Series X here. But in another room where we don't play as much, hey, guess what? We're going to be fine there. When we have guests over, my daughter has sleepovers and she has like multiple friends. They play on multiple TVs all around the house, you know, do that, what we used to call System Link, but now they're just all in the same house yelling and screaming and playing like Fortnite online together, right? It's awesome, man. It invites people to grow the ecosystem, not only outside to people that would never be interested in it, but even within their own household, right? So I think that's a good thing, man. I can't wait for that to happen. I think that the cloud needs to get better and better. I think internet connections need to keep improving, and which we know technology is what it is. That will happen. So with that inevitably happening, that's the future, man. I can't wait for it.
It is the future, Mav, and I think you're spot on. And I think what a lot of what they're doing right now with these iterations, I think, is implementing different tech and figuring out what's going to be the best setup so that the widest range of people, this is pretty obvious, right? But the widest range of people are able to use this in a respectable manner, right? Mm-hmm. Whether or not it's ever perfect, like you said, somebody who's buying this probably isn't going to expect perfection. Okay. They're going to understand. People use streaming all the time now. They understand what it is. But I think Xbox, and again, we talked about this earlier, the millions of dollars or billions of dollars that Microsoft is pouring into xCloud as we speak. And they've bought tech. People forget this. Part of the ZeniMax purchase was id had Orion tech, which was able to cut down the latency while streaming to unbelievable levels. They had a live demo that blew people away. And we all know that Stadia is considered the best. As much as we all, laugh at Stadia because, whatever, the Google failed. But their tech behind Stadia, from everybody who's ever used it, and I personally haven't, but there's plenty out in this community that have tried Stadia that say it's unbelievable. That like the tech is crazy. Like the streaming is awesome. It's amazing. They're going to implement things like Orion, and we don't know how far along. We never get those kind of tech updates of what they've done, but we do know that there was people within Microsoft that were excited about Orion coming into the fold, that they were going to be able to get that into the cloud tech some way and integrate it so that that latency would come down, because that's a big piece of the puzzle. So all of that, these iterations that they're going through is obviously to make sure they've got the most efficient model possible. Fifth Horseman brought up a great point too. If they're not going to go with Android, and they're going to go with a slimmed down version, like Jez said, of a Windows OS or a Xbox OS, without Netflix and Spotify, you can't charge $80 to $100 for the device. Now, I've always said that I think their goal is $49, $50 for the device itself, and then bundle it with a controller for $99. And I think that that's the mark that where they want to hit, because then it becomes that buy that you just, again, it's not, you don't think about it at $99. If you know you can go home and you're going to be able to experience games, and maybe you can't afford a Series X or a Series S right now, but you're still going to be able to fire up Starfield and play it respectably, maybe not at 4K, obviously, but at 1080, and you're still going to be good to go, bro, that's a no-brainer, right?
Yep.
$100 for a device and a controller, and then you pay your $15 month cost and you can go play Starfield that day plus 400 other games. Bro, that's instant sell. And if they bundle it and throw in a free month of Game Pass Ultimate or Game Pass, brother, it's an instant buy for people at that price point. And I think that's what they're probably shooting for, is to make sure that whatever version they finalize is going to be the one that gives the widest range of people at the best cost possible, the best experience that they can expect, depending on, of course, internet, depending on different situations, but that they're going to be able to plug it in and be happy with what they're getting for that dollar amount, whatever that dollar amount winds up being. Again, I think 99 is the magic point. If they can get it at 79 with a controller, look out. Then you're talking about mass market appeal no matter what. People would pick it up just to try it at that point. That's a cost of a game, basically, at this point for Sony. So I think it's a win-win. I can't wait to see what they do it, because you said, man, it's the future. Again, we can all discuss how far in the future we're talking about. But again, if you don't think that and Phil has said, look, consoles are always going to be here, because right now there's no way that tech can replicate that machine in your house by streaming. There's just no way we can do it. But we know that if tech keeps advancing the way it has forever, quantum computing's coming, which is going to open up doors in all different ways that we never thought about. If that tech advances to the point that where a console isn't needed, and that the streaming is as good as what we expect when we have actual hardware sitting there, don't think for a minute that all these makers would not like to get rid of their consoles. Outside of Nintendo, of course, because that's handheld. But don't think for a minute that Sony and Xbox would not love to be able to not have to make consoles anymore and give us all the experience that we expect. And it wasn't too long ago, Mav, where we never thought we'd see 4K movies showing up through streaming. What do we have now? We got 4K movies. And unless you have a 4K Blu-ray physically there and watch it side by side, most people can't tell the difference between a lot of those movies, depending again on your service. But all that stuff's going to catch up eventually. So this is the future. And again, Xbox is leading the way. Microsoft knows this. That Azure servers is what's behind this.
Yeah.
They want to be the dominant supplier of servers for all industries. But video games is that lead spot. That's why this investment from Microsoft is happening. And xCloud is so huge in part of that, along with getting something like this to the mass market, whether it ever sells crazy or not. Get it out to the market, see how people respond. If it does well, then we know eventually that cost comes down. Suddenly you've got something on the shelves for $50 with a controller that people can go home and plug in and play Starfield or whatever the latest and greatest game is at that point, the brand new Elder Scrolls 6. And they can plug that in and play it. Then you're talking about mass appeal. Then you're talking about it being sold out. Then you're talking about people going crazy for it and just picking one up to have it in every room. That's what you really want. And Xbox is working their way towards it. So I'm excited for that future because again, the ease, it'd be so great just to be able to have that plugged into any TV that I wanted to, take it on trips, whatever the case may be, wherever you are, and to have that same experience or close to same experience as a console. Man, that's the future I want. I can't wait. So exciting times, brother. CasinoTop1.com. Thank you for dropping in a couple times. Used to seeing the XXYZ girls or whatever, boys and girls, whatever the heck
they were here
showing
earlier.
up here.
Yeah.
Were they here earlier?
No, no, that was a casino top again. Okay. Yeah. Nope.
You're right. Exactly. But great to see you all. Thanks for showing up. We got a lot of great people. The Sosa showed up. Ray Oid is in the house. Who else is? I've seen a bunch of people dropping in here. Roshan Eppinger, thank you for dropping in here as well. All the people that have been here. Archangel 1924. Yeah, Archangel 1924. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. But all the people that have been here talking and discussing things along with us, thank you all. Man, Math blew through that. You got any other topics you want to cover, man?
First, just get this Drawn TJ $5 super chat real quick.
Drawn TJ dropped in here too. Good to see you, brother.
Appreciate you, Drawn TJ. What's up, man? He says, hi, Mav. Hi, Pong. Hope you guys are having a great night. Absolutely are, man. I hope you're having a great night as well. Thanks for hanging out. Also, I want to, there's one more thing just to touch on real quick. I don't know when this article came out. I think it came out this afternoon. But I guess Xbox, Phil Spencer, during a team meeting today, did acknowledge that the Activision Blizzard, the union formed from Raven, from the QA testers, would be acknowledged after the acquisition goes through. And that, I guess, was, I don't usually like to source Kotaku, but they did this article and they actually did confirm that this was accurate by confirming with the video of the actual team meeting as well. So I think that's, I don't know. People can have their thoughts regardless of unions, right? But like overall, it's a good thing to not have any kind of like conflicts or whatever once this deal goes through. So I think that this is another sign that this deal is going to be probably going to go through swimmingly. And Microsoft getting ahead on this as well to create non-issues potentially with the with the merger and the FTC saying like, oh, you're not going to allow them to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, especially since the FTC has come out and specifically said they're looking at this deal, even though they're not technically supposed to be doing this according to how the rules are written, the laws are written, but they're doing it anyways. They came out and said they're going to look at it, not just from the perspective of the consumer,
from the employees,
but also the employer. Or the employees, and how that would affect the employees, right? So there's no way Microsoft was going to come out and say, "Yeah, we're not going to recognize this union. Go screw yourself." No, no, they're not going to do it. So
anyway, I just thought that was interesting.
It was interesting, and as an addition to that, Mav, I don't know if you've been noticing this, and again, we've talked about this, we speculated on this through this whole deal process. But there is some more and more people coming out, and there's some more and more smoke coming out that this deal gets done by the end of the year, brother. That they are pushing hard to get this deal done at the end of the year. And if anybody out here says absolutely no way, it's too big of a deal, FTC is looking at this too hard, not going to do. Look, the FTC has other things going on as well at all times. And I want you to take, and again, this is all great. So this is speculation town. Again, of course, we know Microsoft would want it done yesterday if they could have it that way. But realistically, the end of the year seems more and more of a possibility for this deal. If anybody's been paying attention lately, the grandstanding, the outright public comments coming from people, whether in the FTC or the government, they've all kind of gone away. Yes, they've all gone away. We haven't heard anything out of the EU. We know that they've been taking information, which is good, because again, that process is completely separate, totally different set of rules and laws over there. They are much harder on companies than even here, even with this new FTC, this politically driven FTC that we have now. EU is even tougher, but we haven't heard anything out there at all. Like these things have quieted down, and now there's been some more people coming out. There was a supposed attorney on, I think it was Reddit or Reset Era, that came out and said November, December, that this could possibly get done, that they're going to allow this to go through. There's going to be concessions, but Microsoft has already made clear that they're willing to give in. I mean, they volunteered things already. So when Satya said we don't have to give any concessions, well, yeah, you don't have to give any concessions if you're already saying, hey, we're going to do all this. It's not a big deal to us. So you've already got that out front, that they are going to get this pushed through. What do you think, man? What do you think? We got a possibility for a big holiday surprise announcement to kind of kind of make up for the whole Starfield thing, right? That they're gonna have Activision Blizzard sooner than later. What do you think?
I think it's possible, man. I mean, I go back to the comments. Was it Brad Smith? Was that who it was?
Yeah. So.
About a week ago, or 2 weeks ago or so, that had said, that this is just the phase we're at right now. Everything seems to be moving along as planned, and but he also did say, acknowledge,
he said it was moving fast for a deal of this size.
Yeah, and he also said, it was moving fast. Yeah. For them, it's better the faster it gets done. Right? So I think they're going to do everything they can to make sure that this is all expedited. And they've been impressively ahead of the ball on a lot of the issues that were potentially going to come up. And it's almost like leaving, I think, potential any concessions, because people are like, oh, we're going to have to make them this. But they've already conceded that publicly. Right. Exactly. So, you know what I mean? Like, they've already conceded.
Yep.
Like, they've been, from the get-go, from the day that this was announced, they have, like, known what the issues were going to be and have been ahead of all of them with their statements and their messaging, with Call of Duty and with now with the union thing going on here, and all of this stuff. So, man, I do feel like they want this deal to be done. I don't know what all the motives are to get it done before the end of the year. I think maybe other acquisitions in their vision could be potentially at play. There could be the whole Call of Duty market this holiday season, trying to capitalize on that. Who knows exactly what the current deals are in place for COD right now. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of signs right now that there's not a lot of huge issues, hurdles hanging this up. Because I do feel like if there was some massive thing, right, at this point, we may have heard something like, this is like really in jeopardy here. You know, they can't agree. Like, the FTC is really looking into this one specific thing, and there's a huge concern, and then you see more grandstanding about that specific subject or topic, and a lot more discussion. But we're not. It could happen tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
it could happen tomorrow.
It could happen
on Monday. It could happen Tuesday. Yes. Who knows exactly? But as of right now, we're not seeing that, and instead, everything we're seeing is looking like it's progressing in a good way. So, man, it would be crazy if it happens at the end of this year.
It would be. Well, I mean, again, they want it done yesterday if they could, because they want to make all the announcements.
They want it done the day after they announced.
Even if Modern Warfare 2 is still locked up by Sony as far as marketing, which we now know it is. I mean, again, it's clear, but we still don't know the Game Pass rules and all that kind of stuff. But even to be able to announce all the old Call of Duties were dropping into Game Pass by the holidays, that's a huge W for them. But I think that the thing that tipped me off, and I think did we talk about this last week, or did I talk about it on Living Split Screen? I forget. But the Brad Smith interview really did perk my ears up, because if things weren't going well behind the scenes, or if there was hurdles, or if things were kind of really on rocky ground per se, Brad wouldn't have come out and made those public statements. He would have said, yeah, I really can't talk about the deal right now. But for him to come out and talk the way he did and be confident about it, he had a smile on his face the whole entire time.
Yeah, people are calling him the closer.
Yeah, it was really casual that he was out there talking about this giant deal so publicly. That tells me that behind the scenes, everything that he said, that it's moving fast at least for a deal of this size, that means that they are looking good. And again, don't forget, this is a lot of political nonsense. There's a lot of political back and forth, but don't forget, Microsoft has huge pull in Washington, D.C. themselves. They have their own group of Washington, D.C. people. And again, the thing to me is, and there's a lot going on in the world right now, but that didn't stop the politicians from grandstanding when this deal was first announced. But all of that has died away. We haven't heard a whole lot going on from anybody coming out and trying to say, well, we're still looking, this deal might not be the best for everybody. We really got to crack down on Microsoft and these big tech companies. All of that has quieted down, and the public statements. And don't think for a minute that leak of Phil and the all hands on deck meeting wasn't planned. Do not think for a minute that that wasn't prepared, that they were going to leak that themselves to get it out to the public, that Microsoft and Xbox have zero issue with unionization. Go right ahead. We're all for it. We'll recognize you because they want that out there in the public space. They want people knowing that. They want the FTC to know that internally they're cool. Hey, we're not going to rock this boat. People want to unionize, we'll recognize. Go right ahead. You guys go ahead, do that. We're gonna take care of the employees at Activision Blizzard when they come underneath our umbrella. We're gonna take care of them better than they've been taken care of for decades now under the rule of Bobby Kotick. So don't worry about it. We got it. We got this covered. Like you said, Mav, on top of all the other concessions they already made publicly. Again, I think they're pushing hard, obviously. But still, I think it's actually being effective. And I think the FTC, because again, people forget that even if the FTC allows this to go through, people, that's not the end of it. The FTC can come back anytime they want and start up a whole investigation and sue to break it up. So even 3 years down the road, if Microsoft and Xbox are taking over the industry and they're using the Activision Blizzard component as a spearhead to kill off competition, and they start making everything exclusive, the FTC can come right back in and say, no, let's go to court. We don't like what you guys are doing. So the final ruling here isn't actually final. It's just an okay approval to allow it to go through, but they can come back at any time, which gives a little bit more leeway when these deals happen for the government to say, okay, we're going to be cool now. We're going to let this go through. You guys have said all the right things. Everything's looking copacetic. We like what we see here. But just remember, we can revisit this anytime, folks. So I think that's what's probably going to push this through as well, because, again, Microsoft and Xbox are doing everything by the book here. And the industry itself is helping Microsoft's point. Sony announcing their subscription service with all of their add-ons, their price points, their third-party deals, right? With all the acquisitions continuing to roll on, now the purchase of EA being out there in the public that they're shopping around, all lends credence to Microsoft and Xbox's point of view. Like, we're just one of many out here, folks. We're just one of many. We're not doing anything out of the blue. We're not doing anything out of the ordinary. This industry's changing. You guys may not understand it, but we're going to show it to you. All these other companies are now helping Xbox push through their points to the FTC as well, which will help this deal get through too. So good stuff, Mav. Good stuff. Love it.
Yeah, man. Well,
yeah, I'm excited.
That's a little side topipic at the end there, but that was very interesting, I thought. So
thank you for bringing that up, brother. That's why I asked you. So yeah, no, freaking fan, bro, that 3 hours just flew. We say it all the time and we laugh about it, but it's true. Like, I can't believe it's been 3 hours. Like, it's just nuts how fast we go through these topics and how deep we dive them, and just have a good time. Again, it's just you and me kicking back, pretty much unplanned. Yep. Which is crazy. It's just like Steel and I on Saturday mornings. My God. All right, man. Great show. Chat. Love and respect to all of you in there. You guys have been fantastic for showing up on another Thursday night to enjoy some PM in the PM. Please, if you have not hit that like button already, please do that on your way out. But Mav, what do you got coming up, brother? We got another show tomorrow night. Hey, CasinoTop1.com. We love you, man. We do. You don't have to keep popping back in here.
Thanks
we
for
love
the support.
You a lot,
I mean, all these.
Yeah, share us out. Share us out, Casino Top 1. Share us out to your fans.
Show us all to all your poker buddies, Casino Top 1.
Matt, what do you got going on? What do you got coming up, brother, this weekend? Tomorrow night, obviously, Xbox Ultimate. But you got more stuff going, too. What's going on, brother? Tell the people.
Man, I'm working behind the scenes. We're getting some community prediction special stuff going on right now. Got a lot of the recordings done. Going to be a long editing process on that. So, working on that. We're working on lots of stuff for the channel for the non-E3 week. We're going to have a blast.
Slow your outro. I'll be right back.
Yep. Slow my outro. Love it. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun for the Fun Speculation week of non-E3 showcase, because we got a lot of showcases that happening over that weekend. We're going to cover them all live. We're going to give you prediction shows. We're going to have pre-shows, post shows, all of it. Last year, we were able to do half of what I wanted to do because of other reasons. We were getting attacked pretty much from some crazy person trying to hack our stuff, and it was nonsense. Tried to ruin our E3 last year. This year, not going to happen. Not going to happen. We're going to have a blast. We're going to cover all of it, and it's going to be amazing. And I hope we get people tuning in here on the channel for all of it. So Pong, Steel Rain, all the Fun Speculation family as well will be taking part in all of that. So besides that, guys, tomorrow is Xbox Ultimate Podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern. You never know if he's going to show up. Craig could be there. It's going to be insane. We'll have a lot of fun. We'll have a blast hanging out and having some fun. Mondays is FSP, Fun Speculation Podcast. We talk about all consoles, kind of like we do here. We have a great time. We are now a late show on Mondays at 10 p.m. Eastern. And as well as we have moved Fun Pop to 10 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays as well. Just gives us more time during the day to get stuff done and give you a chance to catch the show as well. Some other great shows that are out there as well. So Fun Pops on Wednesdays at 10. Thursdays here every week with Pong, the man, the captain of this show, bringing it every week. And hey, I'm going to be probably streaming some tonight, maybe some more Sniper Elite. And who knows, maybe dive into some Roller Champions or Halo. Whatever, man. We just love playing games, hanging out with you guys. So thank everybody for tuning in. Pong Soul.
Yes, sir.
I tried to slow my outro for you a little bit. I think I succeeded.
I thought maybe you start juggling or something, and I was going to come back and see you doing magic.
I was going to start to eat animal crackers, but
well, that'll keep people entertained.
Yeah, I mean, I will literally sit there and forget that I'm streaming and eat them sometimes on camera, as has been pointed out. You know, just staring into space. Frequently. Yeah,
quite frequently.
So it's amazing. But yeah. Pong, what else you got going on? Are you going to be playing any games tonight? Are you going to be playing games tomorrow on your birthday? I know you got to work now, so that kind of sucks.
I got to work, brother. It sucks. Yeah, it does suck, brother, but I'll be around. I don't know about tonight. I got to go eat and stuff and figure that out, see how the wife's doing. And then I'll figure it out from there. I might hop on some Cypher Elite 5 for a little bit. Hey, the Sosa, you asked real quick, is the Razer Kishi worth it for xCloud? I have enjoyed the heck out of my Razer Kishi on my phone ever since I bought it, probably last year, I think. Yes, if you have a great xCloud experience, the Razer Kishi does work extremely well on the phone. Absolutely love the Razer Kishi. So I would say if you have good connection and you've tried it out on your phone with the touch controls, I don't like touch controls. I know some of them are done really well, but I just don't like
my hands block the damn screen, man,
awesome.
with the touch controls. That's the main thing.
I know, and my hands move, and all of a sudden I'm not on the controller anymore. I hate that. Yeah. So the Razer Kishi works excellent. I love the Razer Kishi, so absolutely I would recommend it if you're looking for that xCloud experience.
Yeah, I enjoy it as well. So
that's right. You do have one as well. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, no, anyways, great episode, man. PM in the PM, episode 27 in the books. Look, anybody here right now listening to us, again, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being here each and every week. Mav and I are building something special. This is a slower news week. But again, we're building up towards that June 12th, towards the summertime. Things are going to be dropping left and right. Never know when some information is going to come in. But we have such a great time here every Thursday night. Again, Mav, so happy that he hit me up to do this. I love this two-man format, like me and Steel on Saturdays. And with Mav, again, he's another brother from another. So we just sit here and chat. Again, we don't come and plan this out, but all of you coming here each and every week gives us a reason to do this. Otherwise, there wouldn't be one. So thank you all for being here. Anybody listening to us in the future on an audio platform or watching us on YouTube on replay, thank you. Because you're a part of this no matter when you watch or listen. So thank you for being here with us on this journey. Look, everybody, Pong Soul, Xbox, Twitter, you know the drill. Not as active as I once was because real life work's got me down. As soon as I could do this full time and get paid, I will be around everywhere again. But right now I can't be, but I'm still going to interact with you guys. I still try to make some posts during the week. I still try to, again, if you DM me, I may not always get back to you, but I will right away, but I will try to eventually get back to you, obviously, again, but follow me. I'll follow you back. We can have discussions, whatever the case may be. Otherwise, you can find me tomorrow night, Xbox Ultimate. I missed last week. Okay. I wasn't a happy camper. This week's been ridiculous. Tomorrow night's my birthday. Okay. Tomorrow's my birthday. So tomorrow night, I'm planning on being on Xbox Ultimate. Okay. That's the plan right now, is to be here.
You gotta go get wasted somewhere, man. You don't need to show up for
I don't drink anymore. So very rare occasions. Again, June 12th on a Sunday, I might have a glass of scotch while we're watching the Xbox show. I did that last year. I was so impressed with Master Chief's visor, I couldn't stop talking about it. So yeah, I might every once in a while, but I might have a glass tomorrow night for my birthday. But I will be here for Xbox Ultimate tomorrow night because I missed the family, and I will be jumping in. So be there, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Saturday mornings is when you got to set your alarm so that you guys are up, or at least have the reminder so that when you miss it because you slept in from the night before, you go back and you rewatch me and Steel. That's right. My brother from another Steel, Rain, who was in here earlier, he probably is still listening while he's playing right now. He does that all the time. Listen, come join us. Living Split Screen, all one word, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. BST time, UK time, whatever you want to say over there, for all the people that listen to us across the pond. Listen, be there every Saturday morning. Steele and I do the same thing. We just go for even longer. So 3+ hours. We've been hitting over 4 each and every week, almost solid now for about 2-3 months. So please join us. If you jump in, jump out, jump in, don't care, be there. We're going to have a good time. We get the chat involved. Love what's happening every Saturday morning, live, raw, and uncut on Living Split Screen, the whole entire industry. And we actually do community talk as well. We go on rants. Be there Saturday mornings and tell a friend, share it out, because we're on mission 1K. We need to get to 1K. We really want to hit that goal this year. We need to get there. So please help. Living Split Screens every Saturday morning. Shop podcasts Saturday nights. PTK Blam's channel. Be there to end your Saturday night the right way. It's Blam, it's Fuzzy, it's myself. Look, we always talk about 2 topics, I should say, 2-3 topics. But then now what PTK is doing is he opens it up for the last hour of the show for questions from the chat. So show up, have your questions ready, and we're going to talk about whatever you guys ask. It's a fun time, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time, the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel. Find it. If you don't know where to find it, check my Twitter out. I've always retweeted his out. So be there Saturday night. And then Tuesdays, if I can, Xbox Factor Podcast, of course, over on Double Barrel Gaming. Mr. Boomstick is the man. Mav's there when he can be. Archimedes, Boxenberger, as everybody knows him now. I still know him as Archimedes, but Boxenberger, VJ, N64 Josh, myself, and then who knows who else is going to show up. Steel was on this week. We had a full panel this week. It was crazy. It was a fun time. Be there every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Back here next Thursday night, 4 p.m. the p.m. God willing, life willing, I will be here because I love my Thursday nights here. Look, it's the golden age of gaming, people. It's not going to change. It still is. Golden age of gaming is here. It's upon us. Go play some of those games. Go download Sniper Elite 5. If you got Game Pass, it's no risk. Go try it out. You never know. You might like it, but there's a million other games out there to go play too. So get out there, enjoy it. Play what you love what you play. And I'm going to talk to you all real soon. Thanks again. Mav, get us out of here, sir.
Heck yeah, man. Everybody, thank you so much. I saw a couple of my friends here that got some of the gold badges now for FS. I saw Micah yesterday and Back from Dead today. I just want to say thanks to all the channel members and everybody for those support on the channel. It's amazing to think that over a year now, people have been members of this channel. It's pretty crazy, man. So I just
amazing.
Appreciate it. 100%. Love you guys. Have a good one. Take it easy. Bye-bye.